for giving us the opportunity to host. A lot of registrations we received, and we are overwhelmed with the response. And we look forward to learnings today, to hosting you today, and making it a grand success. This is session 1, and we have 24 more sessions on the topic for the training purposes. So formally, I'll start the session once I get a go ahead. One more thing, the questions can be put in the chat box. We will directly receive your questions and we will try to answer them one by one after the panel discussion is over. So please keep posting your questions, and also please keep the questions relevant to the topic of the session, that is overview and implementation plan regarding revised Schedule M. Requesting again not to diversify or digress from the topic of discussion.
Yeah, Swati, we are live streaming. Just let me start the recording once. Yes, over to you.
Thank you, Satish. And formally, let me start this session. Good morning to the dignitaries, speakers, and participants. We highly appreciate you dedicating 2 hours of your Sunday to this learning activity. Thank you for the overwhelming response. And let us start today by viewing the welcome and introduction video for the session.
Welcome to the Pulse series, a year-long training program that includes 25 online learning sessions on Revised Schedule M for pharmaceutical professionals and companies. Revised Schedule M sets forth the essential guidelines and standards for the pharmaceutical manufacturing process, ensuring the production of safe and effective medicines. It reflects the latest advancements and regulatory requirements critical to our industry. Compliance with Revised Schedule M is not just a regulatory requirement, it is a commitment to quality, safety, and efficacy. Adhering to these standards enhances the credibility and reliability of your products, fostering trust with healthcare professionals and patients. With these sessions, we will learn the intricacies of Revised Schedule M, featuring insights from industry experts, interactive discussions, and practical guidelines. You'll gain invaluable knowledge to implement and maintain compliance within your operations. Get ready to engage, learn, and elevate your professional standards. We are here to support you every step of the way. Welcome to the journey of excellence with Revised Schedule M.
So, yes, let's get started. A quick introduction about myself, the initiative, and some more details. I'm Swati Sinha, co-founder at PharmaState Academy, the exclusive dedicated platform for learning and development in the pharmaceutical industry. And first and foremost, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Mr. 𝐒𝐜𝐴, President of FOPE, for initiating this comprehensive learning program on the crucial topic of Revised Schedule M. Today is his birthday also, so wishing him a very happy birthday. So, the initiative, let me just now brief the audience on what we plan to do through these 25 sessions. The initiative PULSE, the full form is Pharma Upgradation and Learning Series for Excellence. This is a joint effort by the Federation of Pharma Entrepreneurs, FOPE, and PharmaState Academy. Today, I welcome you to the first session of our comprehensive series of 25 sessions on the Revised Schedule M. We recognize that the Revised Schedule M impacts various stakeholders differently, and hence we will try to bring diverse panels and subject matter experts to address specific concerns through question-answer sessions also. So this will be a comprehensive program, and we request you to please be with us throughout the session, throughout the program of 25 sessions. The topic for today's sessions is overview and implementation plan for Revised Schedule M. Now we will start with the address from FOPE office bearers, Mr. Arjun Kapoor, Mr. Harish Jain, and Mr. Vinod Kalani, and then we will invite keynote address from our chief guest also. Following that, we will have a detailed learning session on the topic from our educator, Dr. Sanjeet Singh Lamba. We will then proceed to a 4-member panel discussion where we will delve into salient points through a question-answer format. And finally, and most importantly, we will address participant questions one by one and try to answer them during the session itself. Before we start and invite the FOPE office bearers, I would like to read out a disclaimer about the program. The content provided in this session is for informational and educational purposes only. The views expressed by the speakers and panelists are their own and do not necessarily represent the views of PharmaState Academy or FOPE. Participants are encouraged to seek professional advice for specific issues related to the revised Schedule M. And yes, there are various topics, as I mentioned. So there will be topics related to quality risk management, gap assessment, premises, equipment, documentation, specific topics on HVAC, oral solid forms, sterile products and all. So there were a lot of questions regarding what are the next topics. So we will share all that information post this session with you. Now, let me invite Mr. Arjun Kapoor, Additional Secretary of FOPE, to tell us more about FOPE and the initiative. Mr. Arjun Kapoor is the CEO at Midas Healthcare Limited and Additional General Secretary of FOPE. His leadership and dedication to the industry are exemplary, and we are honored to have his support. Requesting Mr. Arjun to please tell us about the initiative.
Yeah, good morning to you all, and thank you, Dr. Swati, for such a splendid introduction. And good morning to you all. It is indeed a pleasure to introduce FOPE, the Federation of Pharma Entrepreneurs, to all of you, especially on this platform where we have garnered the strength of each one of us all, who is, it just goes out to say that we are, the Indian pharmaceutical industry is interested in upgrading, upskilling, upholding the true spirit of Indian pharma industry, now and always. On this splendid Sunday morning, I would like to tell you more about FOPE. FOPE was basically Federation of Pharma Entrepreneurs, incorporated in 2006. FOPE brings forth the powerful voice of the Indian pharmaceutical industry, the member companies, by creating a bridge between the regulator and the pharma companies so that the regulations are well understood, well drafted, and well intentioned, of course. And in case of any concerns are there, then the same shall be raised at the right platform so that these can be resolved. Our current membership base, if we talk about, that is approximately 400 plus micro, medium, and small scale manufacturers and marketers of formulations, intermediaries, and APIs. Our members are currently from all over the nation, and many of them have joined today. It's been an overwhelming response of more than 1,200 plus registrations. Members from Haryana, Himachal, Uttarakhand, Delhi, Punjab, J&K, Karnataka, AP and Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, then West Bengal, Chandigarh is there, Maharashtra, Gujarat, and many more. Some of our prominent members are Sun Pharma, like Mankind, 𝐒𝐜𝐴𝐾𝐿's, 𝐒𝐿, etc. You see, FOPE was set up to help the Indian pharma industry realize its true global potential. When I talk about global potential, or when we talk about global potential, the potential always sets from the present scenario. And when we talk about the present scenario, it's very important to take into consideration the youths. So in fact, I would like to bring forth on this platform that FOPE is the first and only such association to have established a youth wing, always encouraging the young entrepreneurs of Indian pharma industry to come forth for a higher purpose, along with the guidance and wisdom of the stalwarts of the industry. Having introduced FOPE to all of us here, I think it only goes out to say that where there is FOPE, there is always hope. So FOPE for hope. I would like to conclude my remarks because I think time paucity is there. I would like to conclude my introduction of FOPE just by quoting some lines of Masoor Sultanpuri that goes out to say that मंजिल तो मिल ही जाएगी भटक कर ही सही, गुमराह तो वो है जो कभी निकले ही नहीं. So I am sure that हम लोग सारे निकल गए हैं along with Pharma State Academy. My congratulations to them for organizing along with FOPE such a this kind of a webinar and webinar series. And this is the first day on such a good morning of Sunday. Welcome you all. Thank you so much, Dr. Swati, and over to you. Thank you.
My pleasures, Mr. Arjun, and thank you so much for introducing. Many people may be knowing already about the Federation of Pharma Entrepreneurs, and I am very, very happy. We as a platform are happy that we are able to contribute to the learning of the industry professionals. Thank you so much.
Hello.
I would now like to invite Mr. 𝐒𝐜𝐴 to share a few words and share his vision for the pharmaceutical industry. Mr. 𝐒𝐜𝐴, National President of FOPE and Director of 𝗙𝗏𝗡𝗃 Laboratories Limited. He is the visionary behind this grand initiative for the pharma industry, demonstrating unwavering commitment and leadership. Harish sir, please say a few words about this.
Thank you, Swati. Very good morning to you all. Thank you all for coming here in such a large numbers. I could see almost like almost close to 650 people have already joined, and we are just beginning. Now, when we talk about our pharmaceutical business, we always talk about safety and efficacy and quality. I go a little beyond that, and we always say that apart from safety, efficacy, and quality, the trust is very important. And this is what is all that good manufacturing practices is all about. When I say trust, it should be always that what medicines, what you produce, you should be able to have a confidence that I can give to my parents, I can give to my brothers and sisters, and more importantly, my children and myself. So this is what the kind of quality what we have to build in, and that can happen only by following a good manufacturing practices. Now, when you say today we are lucky that we have good manufacturing practices, Schedule M is put into as a law and as into a statute of the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. What is we are happy about is we should consider that as a free consultancy rather than being a kind of a law which is thrust upon us. We should consider that as a free consultancy which shows you a way how we should do the manufacturing, what are the intricacies behind that, and my vision is that India is currently predominantly a kind of a generic pharmaceutical industry. We don't have much of innovative dosage forms or a new chemical entity or the new biological entity. And GMP, the revised GMP, which has been notified in December 2023, is just a stepping stone to get into that kind of a value chain where we get today we are looking at, say, almost like $65 billion of Indian pharmaceutical industry. That's a very small chunk. I don't know how many of you know that the global pharmaceutical industry is $1.5 trillion. And when we say we have the 20% of the market share, we are just at the lower end of this spectrum. We are just catering to the 20% of the generic market in terms of value, but we are leaving out 80%. If we have to get into innovation and new chemical entities, we have to follow the GMP should be way of life. The kind of documentations are required. This should be kind of on a routine basis. It gives us an opportunity for growth, and as I said, gets into the value ladder. Now, I thank you again for having joined on a Sunday morning. It's a holiday. It shows the kind of interest and the kind of dedication you have to for the work. I congratulate all of you who have joined here in such a large numbers. You are dedicating 2.5 hours of your Sunday morning on a holiday to yourself and upskilling yourself. And this is what, if the FOPE want you to learn everything and get into a mode where you are challenging the people all across the world. India is going to be number one. We are currently third in terms of volume and 14th in terms of value. We want all of us in next decade or so to be number one in terms of value as well as volume. All the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Harish sir, for delivering a motivating address for the industry. It is much needed, and it is the need of the hour. And we can see that from the response that we got for this session. And I hope the response continues, even increases in the upcoming sessions. Thank you so much, sir. Next, I would like to invite for the welcome address, Mr. Vinod Kalani. Earlier, Mr. 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗶𝘃𝗶, chairman of FOPE, also was invited according to the agenda, but he has an urgent meeting, and we all know him. He's a revered name in the pharma industry, and he is also, his company is also the sponsor for this learning session. So let me now invite Mr. Vinod Kalani to deliver the welcome address. Mr. Vinod Kalani, co-chairman of FOPE, president of RPMA, advisor to CP, and an EC member of IDMA. He is also the promoter of Chris Pharma India Limited and director of Oasis Tech Limited. Mr. Kalani's leadership and vision continue to shape the industry. Mr. Kalani, please come and deliver the welcome address for all the audience.
Thank you, Dr. Swati. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Is it? Yeah, no issues, no? Okay.
No issue.
There is some lag in video. Vinod sir, can you try switching off
because of this other disturbance in my computer.
I think there is some network issue at his end.
Can you put my phone on this?
Kalani sir, please switch off your video. Let the audio come. That will also help.
So,
please speak now, Vinod sir.
It's Vinod Kalani FOPE.
Yes, sir. Please speak.
Can you unmute me, please?
It's already done, Ms. Vinod sir. It's already done. You can continue, please.
We are able to hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now? Please, yes, Vinodji.
Okay. First of all, thank you, Swati, Dr. Swati and PharmaState Academy for associating with FOPE for this beautiful journey of Pulse, which is like, I would thank our president, Mr. 𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐵. It is his brainchild. And like we have been discussing how to go about this new Schedule M. So our chairman, Mr. Sikri, was supposed to, deliver this important welcome address today. But because of his other urgent commitments, he couldn't join. So basically, FOPE always stands in support of India's pharmaceutical entrepreneurs. Our basic culture is to, associate with the people, our colleagues working on the shop floor. And we try to elevate the skill set of the entire pharmaceutical workforce. This is the basic aim of FOPE. You are well aware that GMP, last enacted in 2004-05, was long overdue for revision. Government in December 2023 revised the GMP as per Schedule M, which has become effective from 1st of July 2024 for companies with turnover over about 250 crores and shall be effective for others from 1st of January 2025. Revised GMP will make Indian industry move up the value chain and ensure only quality products are manufactured. Implementation and satisfactory compliance is very complex, and being new enactment requires a lot of hand-holding. FOPE, recognizing this fact, deemed it fit to educate and train the technical manpower of this important aspect. This is how our initiative, Pulse, which is Pharma Upgradation and Learning Series for Excellence, was born. Today is the first session of the Pulse series. To inaugurate this initiative, there would not have been a better person than Dr. 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗶 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏, he is JDC CDSCO. I welcome Dr. 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗏𝗏 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏 on behalf of FOPE. I also welcome our today's expert speaker, Dr. Sanjeet Singh Lambaji, who has 35 plus years experience in global manufacturing, business operations, and regulatory compliances. As we all know, the biggest challenge for organizing this kind of series is to have a proper resource to deliver the subject matter and take up the subject matter as per the need of the the industry, because the Indian pharma industry is divided into many segments. Like there are very big corporates who are US FDA, EU. There are many who are WHO. There are many who are just Schedule M, and there are many who are even struggling to comply with the current Schedule M. So it's a very divided kind of scenario for the pharmaceutical industry. So understand that and actually address how there is a gap between the current Schedule M and new Schedule M, and address the things so that people working on the shop floor can understand it and take it forward. So I thank Dr. Lamba for taking this challenge and support our initiative. I also welcome my FOPE colleagues, 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗶𝗀𝗃𝗏, our president, and Dr. Rajesh Gupta. Dr. Rajesh Gupta will be joining us as a panelist. I also warmly welcome the audience who have joined in large numbers. All I should not call them audience, I should call them our colleagues, pharma industry colleagues, and our pharmacists who are working on the shop floor, and even the entrepreneurs, even the CEOs, means from across the board. There are all kind of participation. I thank 𝗥𝐿𝐴𝐴 India who are sponsoring the whole session of today. Besides that, I thank all the participating association, Himachal Drug Manufacturers Association, Rajasthan Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association, 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗏, Karnataka Drug Manufacturer Association, 𝐷ehradun Drug Manufacturer Association, CIPPI, and I may be missing on few, but everybody who is connected with us. We welcome them, and we even welcome many, any more associations, state association who would like to associate with us. They are welcome to join us. So once again, I will not take much time. Thank you very much, PharmaState Academy and all our speakers and panelists. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Dr. Ranga.
Thank you, Vinod sir, and thank you for giving us this address, and also, yes, mentioning all the associations and partners who have joined hands to make it a success and continue the learning in the pharmaceutical space. Moving forward, now let me invite our chief guest, Dr. Chandrasekhar Ranga, to formally inaugurate the Pulse program. Chandrasekhar Ranga sir has more than 33 years of experience in drugs control departments of the state and central governments in various capacities. He is currently heading Global Clinical Trials and Drug Safety International Cell, amendments to the subordinate legislation, e-governance, Ayush vertical, legal cell, etc. Further, he is the chairman of the Technical Committee of the Strengthening of Pharmaceutical Industry Scheme of the Department of Pharmaceuticals and member NPPA. Earlier, he was head of New Drugs and Biologics. He played a key role in establishing relations with international regulatory agencies. He has initiated the e-governance program and intelligence cell at CDSCO. He was convener of various subcommittees.
Swati, just give a few seconds. Sorry to disturb. There is someone who is just playing with the buttons. I request not to play with any of the buttons.
Yeah,
someone
please
is trying to control the meeting.
Yeah, please.
We are the professionals, and if we are not going to maintain the decorum, how are we going to learn anything? If anyone is not interested, he is requested to leave the group. Don't waste the time of others. It's a learning program, serious program, and here just not make fun of the program, please, by doing these activities. Over to you, Swati. Sorry for my harsh language, but people are like that in the WhatsApp group also. They are doing the same thing. Here also they are playing with this.
No problems. So let us keep the decorum of the session and requesting everyone to please be serious about this because we want industry to progress. I'll quickly reintroduce about Dr. Chandrasekhar Ranga. And he has more than 33 years of experience in drugs control department of the state and central governments in various capacities. He is currently heading Global Clinical Trials and Drug Safety International Cell, amendments to the subordinate legislation, e-governance, Ayush vertical, legal cell, etc. Further, he is the chairman of the Technical Committee of the Strengthening of Pharmaceutical Industry Scheme of the Department of Pharmaceuticals and member NPPA. Earlier, he was head of new drugs and biologics. He played a key role in establishing relations with international regulatory agencies. He has initiated the e-governance program and intelligence cell at CDSCO. He was convener of various subcommittees of the DCC, leading to notification of the rules. We are privileged to have Dr. Ranga with us today, whose leadership and expertise in regulatory affairs are highly respected. Dr. Ranga, please join us while we play the inaugural video. So let us play the inaugural video of this program. We all seek the blessings of Saraswati Ma, and let us start with inviting our chief guest, Dr. Ranga, to please deliver the keynote address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Swati. And then with the divine blessings of Ma Saraswati, it's a good omen. First thing is welcome to all the participants who have shown keen interest on this Sunday morning and sparing their valuable time. I also appreciate the initiative taken by FOPE, especially Dr. 𝐒𝐜𝐴, President, and also happy birthday to him and for sparing the time on this lovely Sunday. So I also appreciate the time taken out by the members of the organizing members of the FOPE, especially Vinod Kalani, who is my senior at BITS planning, Dr. Rajesh Gupta, and Dr. Lamba for taking the initiative and giving his time to educate the pharma industry on the path forward. With these few words of introduction, I would like to mention the importance of Schedule M. Schedule M is as you all know, it is a good manufacturing practices. So the current Schedule M was notified in 2001-2, and because at that point of time the industry wanted more time to implement it, so the implementation date was extended till 2005. And from 2005, now we are in 2024. And what is the need of amendment of the Schedule M? So if we are in the pharma industry, and the manufacturers, they manufacture the drugs, and regulators, it is their duty to ensure the drugs are of prescribed quality. But what is our commitment to the patient? Our commitment to the patient is to provide the quality of the medicines which has been claimed on the label, because many of the medicines, a majority of the medicines are generic drugs. So safety is an issue in some cases, but efficacy is known. And the main issue for all of us, or for the implementation of GMP, is the quality of the drugs that are manufactured in the country. So having said that, how we ensure the quality of drugs? The quality has to be there, but also it has to be consistent. The consistency of the quality is ensured by following certain principles or code, and this code is called the good manufacturing practice. So when we see when 2002 and 2024, so what has changed? Whether 2002 GMP code is not adequate today. Why it is not adequate today? So various reasons will be there, but I will mention few of them. It is not that it has been mentioned under the rule that we should follow. It is because of our commitment for quality and consistency of the quality that we should follow the revised GMP or any GMP. From the past 20 years, various things have changed. First one is the technology has changed. So what the type of machinery that were used 20 years back, now they have improved, they have upgraded. So mostly they were manual machinery earlier. Now they have become automatic, and new technologies, new machinery have come in, which can ensure better quality of the product. That is one. The second one is it is our duty to provide quality medicines to our citizens. When the citizen, the patient is paying certain amount of money, it is our responsibility to give the quality that we claim on the label. That is the second part. Third one is, so now our exports have exceeded the domestic market. Now export constitute more than between 50 to 55% of the total market size. And there is a mismatch of the GMP requirements internationally and in India. For example, when we export, the minimum GMP requirement is of the WHO GMP requirement. And our GMP requirement, there are certain gaps. So when we follow the WHO GMP requirements for export and lesser requirements for domestic market, it is not proper. And moreover, the concepts that have been introduced over the period have to be uniform for both domestic as well as the export markets. So all these things, there is because of all these things and many more other which I'm not mentioning now. So they require the amendments to the GMP, and that is why. So there has been endeavor that we upgrade the GMP. So this we have started in 2016, and if you all know, recall. So the draft GMP requirements were notified in 2018, but at that point of time, the the industry had certain apprehensions because the implementation involves both resources, all type of resources. So they wanted more time, and the government, considering the reactions of or comments of the industry, so they have given more time. But as you know, as time passes, so the requirement is becoming more and more necessary. The science GMP is also science, so science also need to be taken into consideration, and it should be implemented at the earliest. So because of all these things, so the government, and also certain incidents that happened today, as you know, regarding the cough syrups and certain deaths attributed to the drugs manufactured in the country. So there was an urgent necessity to implement the revised schedule. So accordingly, the notification has come in December 23, and it is going to be implemented in phases. The first phase, the more than 250 crore manufacturing turnover companies. So it has already come into effect from June 28th last month. And for rest all, so it will be 28th December 2024. So this is the background of the GMP, its necessity, and why it is important for all of us. Coming to what are the ingredients of the revised schedule M. Like in the earlier, the current schedule M, so there are various parts are there. The first part is the general requirements, and the second part 2 refers to specific requirements for various class of drugs. So I will not mention all classes of drugs, because there are almost say 10 classes for which specific requirements are mentioned. But the common parts would be one is biological products, one is hazardous substances. Under these hazardous substances, we have sex hormones, steroids, and cytotoxic substances. And we have oral solid dosage forms, oral liquids, we have topical products, we have metered dose inhalers, we have APIs. So these are the very common categories which we found in the industry. So there are other specific categories which are little bit less common. So those are radiopharmaceuticals, phytopharmaceuticals, etc. So the general requirements apply throughout the facility, and the specific requirements apply to the particular sections. So we have to understand the application of general requirements and the specific requirements apply to those manufacturing units who have these special sections. So this is about the current revised schedule M of the. So having said all these things, so I will not go into details of each of the requirements because the webinar itself, there are speakers, well-knowledge, experienced speakers who would be providing you the details of what are the current requirements and what are the upgrades and what need to be done. So I will only touch upon those things what is to be done, because it's already 6 months has lapsed and there is only 6 months left. So we need to expedite whatever that is to be done. So earlier in the beginning, at the time of notification in December 2023, so there was a thought by certain section of the industry that the time is less and it will be extended as has been before. But now the government has not extended the time of implementation. So for companies which have more than 250 crore turnover, it is already implemented. And now till date, the government has not made any indication of extending the time. So we should assume that the implementation will be as per the Gazette notification, that is by December 2024. It will be applicable for all sections of the industry. So, and moreover, if we start upgrading, if the manufacturers start upgrading to the revised schedule, so it will take some time. And if you start late, then you will not be able to meet the deadline. And someone starts in December, so I don't know how much time it will take. And I have been talking to some of the equipment manufacturers also. They have been telling that there is a sudden rush of orders for various equipment since last 2-3 months. For example, even a dynamic pass box, so there is a lag of about 4 to 6 months for supply of this. And there are many other equipment which the manufacturers would like to upgrade. And even if they place the orders today, so it will take maybe 4 months to 6 months, 9 months in some cases, or 1 year also. So because of that, there is an urgent need to identify these gaps and to immediately take action like placing of the orders. And what I will do is briefly I will mention what should be done by the manufacturer so that they achieve the GMP compliance. First one is, one has to remove the doubt or maybe whether it will be implemented, not implemented. So everyone has to be clear in their mind that I am committed for compliance with the revised schedule GMP. This is the first step. Otherwise, until unless one has commitment in his mind, he will not be able to implement the GMP requirements. If at all, if there is a ambiguity, then it is a half job done, and it will lead to non-compliances. So once decided, the second step is to carry out the gap analysis. Gap analysis means, so what is the current status of one manufacturing facility, and then what to be done later. So I have worked in 𝗥𝗲𝗃 for the last 2 years till March of this year, and later now I'm at CDSO headquarters. During this period, I have also observed that many of the manufacturing units are not complying with the current scheduler, leave alone the revised scheduler. So there might be the gaps may be very large in certain cases or certain units. So they need to list out what is the current status, and then what is the gap that need to be filled up to comply with the revised requirements. So these gap analysis might pertain to, broadly it might pertain to these categories. One is the infrastructure. Infrastructure means so whether it is complying with the facility itself is complying. The facility means the premises, the equipment, all those utilities. These are all pertain to the facility. If these plant and premises requirements are meeting the GMP requirements, so one has to identify these gaps and then make a list of equipment that they might need to procure for implementation. Because as I said earlier, the procurement will take some time. So you have a certain time period, say 3 to 6 months for the equipment to arrive. So by that time the procurement arrives, so you can do the rest of the things. That is one regarding the infrastructure. So maybe even a certain lab equipment like HPLCs, the lead time, supply lead time has become much larger because of this sudden rush in the sudden rise in the demand. The second gap is that regarding the documentation. Now the various new concepts have been introduced in the revised GMP, like pharmaceutical quality systems and risk-based approach. So all these things and many others are there. So those you will hear from other experts from the industry. So all these need more documentation. To be ready with this documentation, we need to have the team which can work on the quality assurance and quality control. So identify the team and identify what are the documents or what are the SOPs that are needed, and try to list out these things because the data that need to be generated may also take some time. Because of that, there should be a planning strategy that is regarding documentation. Third one is more important is human resources. So there is a lot of dearth of human resources. I mean, persons are there, they have required say qualifications, but lacking is the expertise and also the understanding about the philosophy of the GMP. Now there is a more need to understand the philosophy, because for example in risk-based approach, the concept of 100% testing has come put in place. But having said that, even if 100% testing is there, but if you apply the principles of risk-based approach, then you can reduce the testing subject to something, say, vendor validation. So all these concepts need understanding of the philosophy and application on the shop floor. So there is a need to have not only qualified, but also trained in the trained manpower. So these are the first step. Second step, as I said, is to conduct this gap analysis. There might be other factors also, but I have identified three main pillars for gap analysis. So once you have done the gap analysis, so you can proceed, prepare a chart, what to do, and what should be the timeline, and when you are expected to complete the upgradation. So these are the I feel these are the some steps that everyone should immediately undertake, so that they are on the right pathway. The entire principles of the revised GMP is not just following the code. It is about applying innovation and continual improvement. So this is more important for us to establish ourselves as a leading exporter of drugs in the world. So the concept of continual improvement comes from the concept, quality management system. So these are some of the things like that I can tell at this point of time. And for example, in case of hazardous substance, it is not the requirements. It says that it should have, for example, many of the units have they manufacture steroid products, they manufacture say hormones, they manufacture anti-cancer drugs. So if one understands the philosophy, then there is a and apply the risk-based approach. So hormones means only those sex hormones and androgenic, and then so only those require a self-contained facility. It is not required that all hormones should have a separate facility. For this, one should understand the philosophy of the GMP. Likewise, in case of those hormones or steroids or cytotoxic substances, one need a self-contained facility. So this concept of self-contained facility itself will give an understanding what is the requirement. So going by letter of law is one thing, and understanding the philosophy will give us more confidence and also meeting the requirements automatically. And infrastructure requirements, as I said earlier, include upgrading the HVAC systems. The HVAC systems current requirement is only 5 micron filtered air, but now we will be going to 0.5 micron filtered air. And for example, in case of sterile areas, we require continuous monitoring of particle sizes, etc. So these are some of the infrastructural requirements that come to my mind immediately. There might be a lot others. And in case of API, there was a gap and then lack of anonymity in. So when the GMP applies, because API means synthetic process is there, and some people are mostly they used to accept it, from N-1 it will apply. But now the revised Schedule M says, so the GMP principles apply from the point where the starting material is introduced in the synthetic process. And various new concepts are there, like change control, etc. So this is what as a inaugural address that I would like to mention. More details will be given by the speakers and experts. And I appreciate all of you for coming. I appreciate again all of you for coming, joining us on this Sunday morning. Yesterday also we had a preliminary discussion then on the way it is conducted. So this series contains 25 lectures. In these 25 lectures, it is expected that all the topics that are relevant under revised Schedule M will be covered. But don't wait till the end. All the sessions are completed. But please start planning, as I said earlier, and prepare strategy and do the gap analysis. So I wish all the best and hope these sessions are useful. And moreover, I also, on behalf of DSO, will offer you, so wherever it is needed, we will clarify. One aspect regarding clarification, I would like to tell it now itself, is that wherever the principles and wherever it is referred that, for example, HVAC system, for example, water system. So how these to be validated and what are the requirements? If there is there is lack of clarity, so you can always apply the WHO guidance document as unknown until unless CDSO use its own guidance document. And regarding any other clarification, you please write to the FOPE or any other association, so which will collate these queries, and then they will send to us. So we will try to address each of them wherever they are generic, not specific to a particular company. And we also offer to post them on the CDSO website so that there is no ambiguity among the manufacturers or as well as the CDSO officials for uniformity of implementation. So with this, I would like to conclude my opening remarks, and I wish all the best to the participants and also the organizing committee and Dr. Swati. Thank you very much, Swati.
Thank you, Dr. Chandrasekhar Ranga, and this was much needed. I hope all of us who have gathered here got a bit of clarity. More clarity is expected, and as Dr. Ranga also promised that there would be an answering about the FAQs and all. So we would be there and initiate that. FOPE is there, Harish sir is there. So we'll try to do that. And as sir also said, there is no going back. So please remove that in mind, that there is no implementation happening, or there may be some, freebies given or something like that. Nothing of that will happen. Be serious about it. Revised Schedule M is going to be implemented as has been spoken now. Thank you, sir. Please stay with us as we also expect to put some questions to you during the panel discussion, and also from the participants who all have joined here. We have more than 700 participants in Zoom, and more are seeing us live at LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube channels of ours. Thank you so much, sir. And from this, just quickly, I would like to share and thank. Within 30 seconds, I'll do that because this is important for us who all have joined, and I also request other associations to please join in and contribute to this program. After this, we are going to go to the topic of Revised Schedule M, Overview and Implementation Plan, and Dr. Sanjeet Singh is there, who will be taking up that session. We have a 5-minute strategic timeout, and then we will have a panel discussion also with Dr. Chandrasekhar Ranga, Mr. Vinod Kalani, Dr. Rajesh Gupta, and Dr. Sanjeet himself. And then we will have an open Q&A session. Quickly, I will thank the session sponsor also, Next Wave India. And let us quickly name this supporting association: CP, 𝗥𝗲𝘃𝗶𝗀𝗃, Karnataka Drugs and Pharmaceuticals Manufacturers Association, Federation of MP Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Himachal Drug Manufacturers Association, Rajasthan Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association, the Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association of Tamil Nadu, DMA, our knowledge partner Trillium, and media partner Express Pharma. So now, moving towards our first session topic, let me introduce and invite Dr. Sanjeet Singh Lamba to present and give a detailed learning session on the topic. Dr. Sanjeet Singh Lamba is an achievement-driven professional with over 35 years of experience in pharmaceutical operations, including API and formulations for markets like India, USA, European Union, and Japan. Dr. Lamba has held significant positions at Eisai Pharmaceutical India, Neopharma Global UAE, Valence Labs Mohali, and other leading pharmaceutical companies like Ranbaxy, Lupin Limited, Gland Pharma, Dabur Pharma, Pfizer Limited, and Merck Sharp & Dohme. So over to you, Dr. Sanjeet, for taking us through this topic. And we all look forward to learning from you today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Swati and Dr. Ranga, and also very motivating words by Mr. Harish Chen. Good morning to all of you. So Dr. Chandrasekhar, Mr. B.R. Sikri, who could not be present, Mr. Vinod Kalani, Mr. Harish Chen, Dr. Rajesh Gupta, Mr. Arjun Kapoor, Dr. Swati, Dr. Satish, and I can also see my colleagues and also number of dignitaries like Dr. Jag Shetty and other members, who all of them, I cannot name them now because there are a number of people who have joined this. Thank you, all of you. And also the FOPE members and the PharmaState Academy members who have been working here to make this program successful. The new Schedule M, it represents a comprehensive framework which is introduced by the CDSCO, aimed at regulating and standardizing the pharmaceutical manufacturing practices. It is encompassing various aspects, including facility design, equipment design, qualifications, validations, documentation, quality management system, etc. And one of the key objectives of the new Schedule M is to align with the international standards, such as the good manufacturing practices of World Health Organization. And the objective is to ensure that the products are safe, effective, and high quality. And this is meant for the patients worldwide. And who's the patient? The patient may be me, you, and your families. So the risks are high. And as you have seen, as you have noticed, number of statements being made by Dr. Ranga and other members today, we are at the situation today that we are going to make a large difference in the pharmaceutical industry by aligning with the requirements of Schedule M. And also we are creating a culture of mutual learning and collaboration with each other so that industry overall can learn. So I'm going to share one of my presentations here, and probably we will take up this. So as we see today, today is our session. We are going to give you an overview and implementation plan. And as is said earlier, this is just the beginning. And we are going to take very specific areas and also special areas where we feel that because of the feedback, if you find that there are some special areas where participants and industry in general need more support, we will design those specifically as. And another thing is, we are going to invite speakers, subject matter experts throughout the industry, throughout the India, from all the regions, to make sure that people who have large experience, they give back to the industry and can also have a mutual learning session over this full 1 year. So I'm very thankful to PharmaState Academy, Dr. Swati, Mr. Harish in particular, who initiated this program. So today, friends, we're going to talk about objectives. What is the history of Schedule M? I'll not spend much time on these areas. Comparison of existing and revised Schedule M. The key provisions here, the gap analysis, as Dr. Ranga said, and what is the implementation plan, how we should initiate to implement the Schedule M. So as we know, this whole plan is to, and this forum which is created today is to provide insights to all the manufacturers, to participants, to employees and the team members about the GMP, the revised Schedule M GMP provision, and to create more awareness, and so that we can create a more forum for discussion and also make manufacturers ready for implementation. If there are some doubts, we can clarify. One of the important area is the provisions. Sometimes they are difficult to interpret. So we are going to make that interpretation easy for members, and also to create a momentum for the industry for a faster implementation. As we know, the phase 1 is already implemented, which is starting from 1st of July. And also, we want to make sure that the quality standards of good manufacturing practices, they are at par with those of other countries. And this will also promote exports in various regions across the world. As Mr. Harish said, we are a large pharmaceutical economy today, growing to become 130 billion by 2030, which is a very large number. And this can happen with all the combined efforts. So very briefly about Schedule M history, the first 1961 requirements of equipment and premises came up, but the first amendment came up in 1986, which was implemented in 88 based on 1975 WHO guide. And the second amendment came in 2001 based on 1992. And I'm very fortunate and privileged because in 2003, when the first amendment came, I, along with the CDSCO, the DCGI, the other members, went on to throughout the country to conduct similar programs on the weekends for implementation of the Schedule M, which was announced in 2001. And here I am after approximately 24 years or 20 years. 2018 is a big change in the Schedule M. The draft notification came. And also, if you see from the Gazette notification, which came in 2023 on 28th of December, talks about implementation of revised Schedule M from July 1st for all the companies with turnover more than 250 crores, and from 1st of January 2025 for all less than 250 crores. So time is running out, and we cannot spend more time in wasting. But this is the time for implementation, and we are here to help you how we can implement it easily. So India overall, if you see, is a country where there are industries having more than 1,000 CEPs from the European Union, around 900 approvals across TGA, MCC, and Visa, and around 600 sites are registered by US FDA today. So that's the reason it's called pharmacy of the world. So we definitely need to make standards comparable with WHO and other international standards. As you must have seen, there are incidences of non-compliance to GMPs, both in India as well as the products exported out of India. And it is our onus and responsibility, all of us in the industry, to make sure that we build trust and confidence in the quality of the drugs manufactured, not only for India, but also for exports, because the patient is a patient. And as I said, patient can be me, it can be you, it can be our families. So we cannot take any chance. So there is a need for effective implementation of quality standards. So we want to make it more reliable. Overall, if you see the last Schedule M 2001, which was called third version, which was actually finally implemented in 2004 and 5, consists of all these provisions till 28, starting from general requirements to complaints and adverse reactions, with additional requirement on site master file, and also Part 1A to Part 1F on sterile oral liquid solids, topical meter-dose inhalers, APIs, and also for plant extract areas. Overall, if we look at the revised Schedule M, it is divided into various parts. Let's talk about Part 1. And one of the major changes which has come up in this revised Schedule M is the pharmaceutical quality system, the quality risk management. If you see from the various provisions, these are the two new provisions which have been added as compared to the last one. Then there is a good manufacturing practices for pharmaceutical products, sanitation, hygiene, qualification, validation, complaints, product recalls. And then comes change control, which has been added as a new provision, and also the production under loan license or a contract manufacturing or a contract analysis, and what we need to do under this provision. So these are the ones which are highlighted in red. These are the new provisions which have been added completely. All other provisions have been enhanced. They have been increased. There have been additions in those areas. Then self-inspections, personal training, personal hygiene specifically has been added in this. And then we look at premises, equipment, which was there earlier. Materials has been specifically broadened. They specifically talk on reference standards, waste materials, documentations, good practices in production, quality control, and new chapter of computerized systems has been added in this. If you look at the Part 2, it gives specific requirements on sterile products, hazardous substances, biological products, radiopharmaceutical products, phytopharmaceutical products, and investigational new products for clinical trials, oral solids, oral liquids, external preparations, meter-dose inhalers, and APIs. If you see these areas, Part 3, Part 4, 5, and 6, and 7, they have been newly added. And other parts which are there, they were existing, but they have been enhanced or have been added. Lot of new areas, sub-provisions under this Part 2 to make it more clarifying to the industry so that people can follow and implement it faster. Then if you see the Part 13th, it lays specific requirements on plant and equipment or individual areas. For example, requirements on external preparations or oral liquid preparations and so on. So every area has specific requirements for plant and equipment, which is at the later part of the Schedule M, which we can see later on. And if you should definitely refer this Gazette notification, which is of 272 pages, divided both in Hindi as well as in English for easy understanding by everyone. Let's look at specific provisions for good manufacturing practices. As I said, the one area which has been added specifically at a pharmaceutical quality system, which is in line with ICH-Q10 requirements and obtained, also adapted by World Health Organization as a pharmaceutical PQS system, which gives specifically highlights that good manufacturing practices should be applied to all stages of a product life cycle, right from development to manufacturing, to logistics, to marketing, to pharmacovigilance, and other areas. So every area is covered under the pharmaceutical quality management. One of the important areas which is specifically mentioned is the senior management's responsibility to implement the pharmaceutical quality system. And there should be periodic management reviews so that we can look at continuous improvements of products, processes, and the quality systems. There should be a separate provision of a quality manual, just like ISO systems, to have a full documentation on the quality management system of the company, including management responsibilities and other areas. If you look at from the life cycle point of view, product and process knowledge part is given as a highlighted importance in the PQS system. And also there should be a procedure for self-audit or a quality audit that happens throughout the company to appraise on the effectiveness of applicability of the quality system which you are implementing. If you look at the PQS elements, it gives, you need to have controls on starting materials, intermediates, finished products, in-process controls, calibrations, validations, qualifications, etc. And as we will talk later, and then one of the areas which has been given large importance in the Schedule M as well as the other international regulations is the quality risk management. Everything is risk-based. So whenever we want to implement a new area, it should be risk-based. And if you have issues, how do we resolve it? Look at a risk management. Managerial responsibilities are clearly defined now and should be mentioned in job descriptions. Continuous improvement should be made through the facility, through systems, procedures, throughout your manufacturing systems. Wherever there are deviations from accepted norms and there is a suspected product defects, they should be properly investigated, recorded, and resolved through carrying out a root cause analysis, through an investigation program, and then implementing a corrective and preventive action. The CAPA, which is implemented, should be monitored for effectiveness, whether whatever changes you have done, it is really effective, or some more changes are required to make it fully effective. So if you look at overall, the quality system elements, they are everywhere, whether it is solid, sterile products, medical devices, legacy products, new products, documentation, calibration, preventive maintenance, training, outsourcing, every area is covered under the pharmaceutical quality system management. The next area which is important here is the quality risk management. As we will talk about later about these areas in detail, as you must have been experiencing, you people may be following in your own areas about quality risk management as per ICH-Q9. And also there is a guideline by WHO, detailed one to follow for how to implement a quality risk management, and whatever risks are there to the quality of a product, how we can mitigate those risks by implementation of new additional controls, design controls, procedural controls, hardware changes, and software changes. So quality risk management is a specific tool to assess the risk and how the risk can be mitigated or resolved, both in the drug product and the drug substance, that is API, as well as the formulations. So quality risk management is a very systematic process, which is governed through scientific knowledge and experience, and it should be followed proactively for new product development, new introductions in your facility, and also those products which are already available. That means you can carry out quality risk management retrospectively, that means for past commercialized products, this can be implemented. The level of risk management, they can be detailed and very detailed depending upon the kind of a risk which you see in a particular product or a process or a system. What is the ultimate goal? Is the protection of the patient. Protection of patient is the key important area in the revised Schedule M. So whenever you have a difficult situation, keep a hand on your heart and see that whether it is risky to the patient, if it is a high risk, conduct a quality risk management to see how we can resolve this. Then there is an emphasis on the periodic quality reviews for regular periodic monitoring of a quality metrics in the system. How is the consistency of your product? How is the consistency of the process? And the quality parameters, the controls, the in-process controls, how consistently they are being maintained in your product. So the manufacturer has the responsibility for validation, revalidation, and also implementation of corrective and preventive actions wherever there are defects which are found in the system. CAPAs should be implemented in a timely manner, and also effectiveness should be verified. The quality reviews should look at the consistency of your processes, appropriateness of your specifications, the quality of starting materials, and also create trends to look at product and process improvements. And this is a role which everyone has to play, especially manufacturing and quality assurance teams, to look at whether my process is in control, is on track, or the process is going out of control. There are only two areas in GMP, whether my process is in control or is out of control. And that's the responsibility of everyone, to conduct a periodic quality reviews to assure consistency of our product. So if we look at the good manufacturing practices, what we are looking at, we are looking at consistency in process as we spoke. We are looking at minimizing and managing the risks in the manufacturing process, adequate premises and space, we'll speak that later on, suitable equipment and services, materials, specific materials, required specifications of materials, containers and labels, adequate personnel. And my own experience is we can create wonderful facilities, spend a lot of money, but large emphasis should be given on the quality of a personnel, the training of personnel. So that investment is the most important investment in the revision of the Schedule M. So adequate emphasis on personnel, laboratories, equipment, and also in-process controls. How effective is your in-process control to make sure that you have a product which is complying to the specifications and beat the specifications? And also, what kind of procedures and instructions your company has developed. These procedures must be developed and approved by required people in the quality assurance. So good manufacturing practices is always a journey. It can never lead to a perfection because it's a journey. It has to be continuously improved over a period of time. But the time has come to make sure our baseline GMP is the revised Schedule M, and we should grow and improve our quality based on these provisions. A new specifically mention is there on contamination control in sanitation and hygiene, which is there, which is covering personnel, premises, equipment, production, containers, apparatus, and specific emphasis has been given in this Schedule M on cleaning, disinfection, sanitization, and also prevention of contamination. And the contamination can be extraneous, contamination can be from any other source, and we need to have a contamination control practices in place. And there should be a written down program for sanitization and hygiene control for people who are part of the manufacturing teams. For qualification and validation, emphasis is given on that each company should identify process, procedures, equipment, instruments that should be addressed by qualification and validation activities. Difference between qualification, validation activities, we'll speak later on. It should be guided by a validation master plan. It should go through installation qualification, operational qualification, performance qualification, process validation, revalidation, requalification. And also particular attention should be paid for validation of analytical test methods and automated systems, and also cleaning procedures. Wherever you are using computers in the labs for specific instruments like HPLCs, these computer systems, they should be validated as per the computer system validation requirements. There should be a written report summarizing all the results, conclusions as a part of your qualification and validation program. Now, many of us, we have been doing these areas, but I think whatever important is that there is a lot of details. There is a lot of clarity which has emerged in the revised Schedule M. In many times we have seen in earlier, even in the existing earlier Schedule M of 2001, many of these provisions were listed, but some of the details were missing. Now, most of these areas are very, very clear for people to follow. Another area, another provision is complaints and adverse reactions. All the complaints which you receive from your customers, from outside your manufacturing systems, they should be carefully reviewed. There should be a system for complaint management. There should be a SOP for complaint management. The people who are responsible for handling these complaints should have sufficient knowledge, experience, and there should be sufficient supporting staff available to handle and manage these complaints, investigate them, and if the product is found defective, then this should be informed to the CDSCO and the product should be recalled back into the manufacturing area. That means there should be a provisions to consider a recall in case there is a complaint which proves through investigation there's a product which is defective. Special attention should be given to that product where the complaint was found defective. Important area, the provision is the licensing authority should be informed if the manufacturer is finding there is a faulty manufacturer or product deterioration during stability studies, or a suspect product or a fake product or a serious quality product, then this product should be recalled and the licensing authority should be informed accordingly. So as we discussed earlier, they should be governed by established written procedures. Recall operations should be through an SOP. There should be a segregated secure area for storage of all recalled products back into your manufacturing area. It should be secured and segregated from your other products. As we looked at it, licensing authority even should be informed for any intention before the recall is made if the product is found to be suspected of being defective. And if it is found to be acceptable quality standards, the product can be sent back to the market with appropriate approvals and permissions. A new provision in line with the global requirements has been put in place in the revised Schedule M for change control. There should be a formal change control for implementation of all the changes which affect the production and control of product. And these changes may happen in raw materials, in specifications, in analytical procedures, facilities, support systems, equipment, including computer systems, labeling, packaging materials, and also the software. All these changes must be governed through a change control process. All these changes must be drafted through a change control form. It should be appropriately reviewed by various members, including the quality assurance, and approved. And only after approval, the change can be implemented. During this change control process review, the potential impact of the proposed changes on the quality of the product whether it is API or a formulation, should be evaluated. The changes should be classified as minor or major depending upon what is the risk and what is the nature and extent of these changes and how these can make impact on the product. Also, this time specifically, a provision has been given for production under loan license or a contract manufacturing or also the contract analysis. So in this provision specifically, the provision speaks about quality contract. There should be a quality contract or an agreement between a contract giver and a contract acceptor. The contract should be applicable for technology transfers, for supply chain, for subcontracting, for manufacturing, and all the areas of validation, batch release, responsibility, authority, changes due to incidents, errors, quality control, or in-process controls, all should be mentioned in this quality contract and agreement. What is the responsibility of the contract giver and what is the responsibility of a contract receiver and acceptor? And all these contracts should be drafted by the competent person who has suitable knowledge and experience about technology analysis and good manufacturing practices. Just like on old provision, there's a provision on self-inspection or self-audits or quality audits. And the purpose is to evaluate the manufacturer's compliance with good manufacturing practices and also to detect any shortcomings for the implementations. So these self-inspections should be performed routinely, annually, and also based on special occasions. So the special occasions can be when you receive large complaint, you have large defects in your manufacturing, or any other areas where you have audits from a regulator or an audit from a customer. And there are special occasions where you can make self-inspections and audits, trigger that so that your teams can make continuous improvements. The team responsible should consist of personnel from various departments, and they should evaluate the implementation of GMP objectively. During the self-inspection or audits, if any shortcomings are found and they are evaluated, after evaluation, the corrective action should be implemented and they should be documented accordingly. One of the very interesting areas in this Schedule M is a lot of people are asking questions about vendor audits, whether physically the vendor audits are required all the time. So I think the clarification has been provided by Schedule M revision that it is the responsibility of the companies to approve suppliers through a vendor qualification process, depending upon starting materials and packaging materials of established specifications. The audits, whether it is physical or virtual, should be based on the risk management. Higher is the risk, higher is the need for physical audit. If you feel that a vendor questionnaire and a vendor audit can happen virtually, then this also is acceptable as per the new Schedule M provisions. But it is important to make sure that all the requirements of the vendor approval process, they are discussed with the supplier, with the manufacturer, with the analytical testing lab before you actually start using these companies. And the evaluation should be based on a supplier's history and nature of materials to be supplied, their quality management system, and other details. There are questions from people whether a physical audit is required. Physical audit may be required in some cases where we are probably we do not know the background of the company, and this is the first time we are going to have materials, and these materials are APIs or key materials, key excipients from these suppliers, then in some cases the physical audit is required. Otherwise, there are provisions for a virtual audit also as per the Schedule M. If you look at from the personal point of view, there should be adequate number of people with qualifications and practical experience. And as I said, personal is the most important area as far as compliance to good manufacturing practices is concerned, because we can provide resources as far as facilities are concerned, equipment are concerned, and other resources are concerned. The real compliance is from people. It is the intent, the mindset, the knowledge, the skill of the people, which is very important. Another important area which is mentioned in this provision is all the people, responsible people in manufacturing and quality should have written job descriptions and adequate authority to carry out these responsibilities. There should be an organization chart. People should be trained for good manufacturing practices. There should be continuous training, including hygiene, sanitations, and also relevant to the needs in areas where they are working. All personnel shall be motivated to support the establishment and to maintain high quality standards. And that's the reason one of the important areas is quality culture. What is the culture of the company? If our culture is to support the patient with a high quality product, we will never fail in our mission of good manufacturing practices. We will never fail in our mission of our company. For that, adequate people, the required people must be available, trained, and also motivated. If we look at from training perspective, there should be a written program defining what is the training program on, what are the different training modules, whether it is manufacturing or quality control laboratory, including technical maintenance people, and also to the cleaning personnel. So training is not only for manufacturing and quality professionals, it includes all people who are supporting this manufacturing they are in quality function, manufacturing, engineering, maintenance, cleaning, people who are maintaining good hygiene and sanitation, even human resources. So because they are the people who are going to hire good quality of people, there should be continuous training. There should be an approved training program, and training records shall be maintained for all the people who have undergone training. For those companies who are manufacturing products which are of high risk, for example, where toxic products are manufactured, infectious products are manufactured, or sensitizing materials like hormones, steroids are manufactured, specific training need to be given on the hazards of manufacturing for these products and what those that the company and the people need to follow, that everything should be covered under specific training. On premises, there are specific requirements on production, weighing, ancillary areas, storage areas, quality control, equipment, materials, reference standards. And if you see the last part, which is part 13th, it lays down the premises and equipment requirement for all different types of formulations and APIs which are manufactured by the company. If you look at materials now, there should be, there are companies who have implemented computerized storage systems in their warehouses. There are people who are forward-looking. They are looking at continuous improvement process. They are looking at making sure there is a productivity and also specificity and easy retrieval of the materials from the warehouse. If they are using computer systems, they should validate those computerized storage systems. If it is a packaging material, it is not essential that the manufacturer test all the batches every time a packaging material is received, but based on the vendor approval and also the history of approvals and statistical analysis, skip testing can be implemented. That means after a few batches, you can test a particular batch based on the program which you have implemented. Also for raw materials, this is a specific area. There's a lot of questions by people whether we have to test each container of starting materials. If we receive, let's say 50 drums, do we have to sample each drum for that? So that again, it all depends upon the risk. It all depends upon your vendor qualification, but a provision has been given in case there are dedicated facilities by API companies or other materials, you can actually follow skip testing. You can follow a statistical sampling rather than testing from each container if the facilities are dedicated facilities for manufacturing only that particular product. So such kind of details are now available in the revised Schedule M. Similarly, on the reworking of rejected products, they should be given a new batch number. Provisions are now given on reprocessing, rework, and return of the material to a particular stage in API manufacturing. Those clarifications have been provided, which we will look at when we specifically look at those products. The other area is the waste materials. There has been special focus on waste materials. There should be a proper and safe storage of waste materials separated from each other. Disposal of this waste material should be properly through a written down system. Disposal of sewage and effluents from the manufacturing should be in conformity with the Environmental Pollution Control Board. All biomedical waste should be destroyed as provisions of the biomedical waste management system. And also specifically insecticides, rodenticides, fumigating agents should not contaminate our equipment and starting materials. So there should be careful approach in using such materials. Then there are special emphasis on documentation. And this is a very popular saying, if it is not documented, it is a rumor. So for every area, when we are saying that we are following a particular practice of a Schedule M, it should be properly documented with an evidence that we are following. If we are using a manual record, then a documentation in the manual form is acceptable. If we are recording by electronic data processing, that itself is acceptable, provided that this data is accurate and it is stored adequately in the system. Then there are special provisions on good practices in production and quality control. As I said, the focus is on prevention of cross-contamination. And if it is a quality control, independence of quality control from production is considered very important and fundamental. Then there are specific requirements on the quality control labs, which we will look at specifically: batch production reviews, stability studies, control of materials. When we will look at these specific areas, we'll talk about it. On a computerized system, this time the special provision has been provided. All the GMP-related systems which are computerized, it needs to be validated, and validation can be conducted prospectively before implementation of a new system, or retrospectively, even if you have implemented and before implementation of a revised Schedule M. If you could not validate it, now is the time to conduct a retrospective validation for the same. You should have provisions to make sure that there are no unauthorized access or changes to the data. So in the Schedule M revision, there is now a provision for assuring data integrity in the system. All the written procedures should be available for operation, maintenance for computerized systems, and the whole objective is accuracy of the data. So here is, we are just trying now ending, just a clarity to everyone that if, let's say, an organization is manufacturing sterile injectables, the common main principles which are given in part 1, they are applicable to all. So in sterile injectable also, everybody has to follow part 1. And part 2, they have to follow, which is specific for sterile products, small volume parentals and ophthalmic preparations. And also for sterile injectables, part 13, which is a requirement for plant and equipment for parental preparations, they should follow. So they should look at part 1, 2, and also specific requirements of plant and equipment. Then there are separate provisions for site master file in the Schedule M. And as I said, everything is risk-based, and we should promote risk-based data-driven decision and approach in implementing key decisions, and also for making our products and processes more rugged. So this is how, you must have seen the revised Schedule M which is available online for everyone. And I just wanted to give you an example, as Dr. Ranga said, that gap analysis is very essential. If you see now the part 1, if you see this page, we look at the first provision in the Schedule M is pharmaceutical quality system 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. These are sub-points of pharmaceutical quality system. Similarly, throughout the Schedule M, all the different areas are given full clarity. And I think the first important task in front of us is to carry out a gap analysis. That means we should prepare an Excel sheet or a Word file, whatever you feel comfortable with, list down that first provision, for example, pharmaceutical quality system, 1.1. What does the 1.1 means? 1.2, 3, 4, and so on. And then you can create worksheets specifically for different areas, include one worksheet for pharmaceutical quality system, the second one for quality risk management, and so on. And in front of this, provide the current status. Where are we today? Do we comply or we do not comply? If we comply, we mention we comply and so document number, protocol, SOP, or any other document which confirms that we are complying to this regulation. Mention it here in your current status. If you are not complying, then in the next column, give your status as when are you going to implement as far as this particular provision is concerned, what is the target date or target completion date in case you have a non-compliance. So this is the first task in front of all of us. Many of the companies I have seen, they have already conducted gap analysis the same way as I have listed here. But few of you, if you have not started that, please immediately make sure that you have all the gap analysis available so that you know what is the diagnosis, where is the problem, and you should then provide a solution. So if we look at from the implementation point of view, I think I list down just very simple things. First, do a gap analysis assessment, prepare your action plan, and create your dedicated implementation team by the company consisting of people from manufacturing, people from quality team, quality people from engineering and other areas. And you strengthen your quality system by improving the provisions which are mentioned in the revised Schedule M, invest in training and competencies of people, get people, train people, and keep those people motivated. Review your HVAC water system, as Harishji said. These are very important baseline requirements for pharmaceutical facilities, and also other key equipment which are there. If they are not complying to GMP, if there are equipment which are rusted, they are not of particular quality, they should be improved. Prioritize the quality over low cost. Do not look at a low cost, only prioritize high quality, because in the long run, you will win and still produce a low cost of a product with a high quality. And that's the biggest challenge, producing high quality at a low cost. And that's what we are capable of in India. And that's the reason we are becoming the pharmacy of the world. So we are capable people, we are capable companies, but we need to give that focus on quality. We need to optimize facility design and layouts as per the provisions. Also, as reference, use WHO GMP guidelines wherever you feel that you want more details, enhance your level of documentation, whether it is standard operating procedures, your protocols, your validations, your testing procedures, your investigation procedures, your CAPA, your change control management, your investigation procedures, your root cause analysis. That kind of a quality management system needs a first priority review. Conduct mock audits yourself with your own people, your own self-inspection teams, and wherever you need support from external agencies, engage mentors from the industry, engage consultants for support wherever you're required. So this is in nutshell what we are going to talk over the next 25 sessions in detail. You will see number of different speakers coming up. And as I said, this is just the journey. The journey just continues. It is just the beginning. And we are not even the end of the beginning. We are just the start of the beginning. So I need, definitely support from everyone. And all the members who are there, who are participating today, and their friends and other colleagues who are there in industry, please encourage them to join. This is one platform we are providing to the industry with a special focus on Schedule M revision, and you will get access throughout the country. You will have access to speakers who are subject matter experts throughout the country. And I really thank PSA, the FOPE, all the other members who have taken this initiative for the betterment of industry, and I would say betterment of the patients, not only in India, but worldwide. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sanjeet Singh Lamba. Beautiful presentation, a very good start to what we want to do through all the whole series. And we have also received many questions, and we will try to address them in the upcoming panel discussion and the open Q&A session also. And as Dr. Lamba said, it is for the whole, the pharma industry, even the healthcare professionals, and at the end of it, the patients for whom we are doing. And we all know how important health is. So be with us throughout these sessions and programs. The next session will be held on next Sunday, 28 July, and all the information will go to you, will reach you through WhatsApp group and your mail IDs. So stay in that group. Moving towards the phase 2 of today's session, we will also have a panel discussion, but let us break out for a strategic timeout. We would like to thank our sponsor, NextWave India, for sponsoring this learning program, and let us just quickly see a video of them. Satish, can we have the video of NextWave India?
Trusted world-class facility. Passion for quality. Satisfaction guaranteed. NextWave India. Trust, passion, satisfaction. NextWave India, a global pharmaceutical company, believes the purpose of life is to keep moving ahead. Failure never overtakes if the determination to succeed is strong enough. And with this philosophy, in 2006, NextWave India was set up in the foothills of Himalayas in Paonta Sahib, Himachal Pradesh. With its state-of-the-art manufacturing facility spread over an area of more than 80,000 square feet. Since its inception, the company has grown into a professionally managed and quality-driven pharmaceutical company, becoming a significant player in therapeutic segments like hypertension, antihistamine, cardiovascular, antifungal, gastronomical, and multivitamin drugs, to name a few. The company holds technical expertise in sustained release and novel formulations backed by world-class CGMP-compliant formulation development lab. The promoters of the company believe in being a part of the solution and not part of the pollution. Therefore, a technologically advanced membrane bioreactor based 30 kiloliters effluent treatment plant has been a significant part of NextWave India's world-class infrastructure. The company is proud to be accredited with major international certifications like WHO GMP and PICS GMP, enabling NextWave India to have a global presence and offer high-quality and affordable medicine for some of the most chronic diseases, addressing the unmet healthcare needs of mankind across the world. The company's ideology is to build mutual business trust and partnership by closely working with its customers and developing cost-efficient, high-quality products for their specific needs. At NextWave India, human resource plays a great role. It is the biggest asset and key driver of quality and stringent processes of the company that enables it to be a trusted partner of its customers as a global contract development and manufacturing organization. NextWave India. Trust, passion, satisfaction.
And this is about the sponsor. And now let us start a panel discussion. We have the most important panelists today to answer your questions. Stay with us. We move towards the phase 2 of this particular session. Well, I want to invite Dr. Chandrasekhar Ranga, Dr. Sanjeet Singh Lama, Mr. Vinod Kalani, and Dr. Rajesh Gupta to please join us for the panel discussion. Dr. Rajesh Gupta is joining us now. And let me introduce him quickly. With his extensive experience in pharmaceutical marketing and manufacturing, he is the All India Pharma Committee Head of 𝗥𝗲𝘃𝗶𝘀𝗃 and President of the Himachal Drug Manufacturers Association, 𝗏𝗏𝐷𝐷. Dr. Gupta serves on several advisory committees, including the Advisory Committee of Chemical and Fertilizers, Government of India, and the HP State Bulk Drug Park. He is also the Managing Director of Dallas Drugs Private Limited, Dallas Formulations Private Limited, 𝗏𝗏𝐷𝐷, and having 26 plus years of pharmaceutical formulations experience. So we have all the panelists. Harish, please join us also, because Of dearth of time, I'll try to ask question, try to merge few questions and put them to panelists so that we stay on time. Even if we are spilling over 10 or 20 minutes, please stay with us, to all the participants also and panelists also. I'll quickly take up the first question, and it is
before that I
yes.
request the panelists to unmute themselves.
Yes, they can unmute. Yes. And moving towards this panel discussion, my first question is to Dr. 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗏𝗃. From CDSCO perspective, sir, you already have told the key objectives for revising Schedule M in your keynote address. Can you, for the benefit of the group here, tell us what are the critical timelines and expectations for pharmaceutical companies to achieve compliance with the revised regulation, and once more, how CDSCO will be supporting the industry during the implementation process?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So as I have already informed, and it has been provided under the notification itself. The notification says that units are classified under two categories. One is more than 250 crores and others are less than 250 crores. For more than 250 crores, it is 6 months time for implementation since the date of notification, that is 28th December 2023. And 6 months has completed, that means legally they are bound to comply with the requirements. And it is possible that some audit may begin for verification of compliance. But having said that, many of the units which are over 250 crores are already complying with the WHO GMP, and that is why they should not have any issues with regard to the audits. And also that if someone is complying with the WHO GMP, we did not compare word to word, but by and large they will be complying with the revised schedule. Now coming to the other remaining manufacturing units which have turnover less than 250 crores, for them the timeline is 6 months till December 28th. So I already clarified till date there is no indication in the government that it will be extended. So everyone should assume that this is a hard deadline and everyone has to comply within this time period. And the second part of the question is what CDSCO is doing. CDSCO is doing two things. One is, even before the notification of the revised schedule, CDSCO has started workshops across the country. It has covered all the major hubs, pharma manufacturing hubs across the country. Dr. 𝐒𝐜𝐴 himself, he traveled across the country, and also in association with the pharma industry associations, he also conducted various workshops, online webinars, and I myself have conducted one workshop regarding a critical subject along with the USP. So likewise, many associations are also like FOPE now. So many others are doing their better to upskill the manufacturing technical persons. This is the third point is the Department of Pharmaceuticals is also subsidizing the investment that is spent on upgrading to revised schedule. So incidentally, I am the chairman of the technical committee, which recommends the Department of Pharmaceuticals for the subsidy. Under that, the incentives are graded. That means that to a maximum of 1 crore, the Department of Pharma would subsidize the manufacturers, provided they give evidence of the expenditure that they have invested to upgrade. And there is an online system. Any manufacturer can make application, and this application will be reviewed by the technical committee, wherein I said I was the chairman. We recommend to the Department of Pharma that these categories, for example, so we are not considering building a separate block or something, civil works, we are not considering as upgradation. So we are considering that any HVAC system upgradation is there, water system upgradation is there, or maybe even the consultancy charges for that matter. So they are also considered for upgradation and certification that certification expenses that one may incur. And they have to confirm both with the revised schedule as well as the WHO GMP. So once they confirm with the revised schedule, they get 50%, and once they confirm with the WHO COPP, then they get the remaining 50%. The totally 1 crore they might get subject to these conditions, whatever. So these two initiatives that we are taking, and as I said earlier, wherever it is possible, we will also clarify various issues that might crop up regarding the implementation. So thank you, Swati.
Thank you, Dr. Ranga. And yes, we all have heard the regulatory agency supporting. People are with us to, support you. We are conducting training programs. Many other associations may be doing so. So please listen to that and start if you have not yet started implementing. Thank you, Dr. Ranga. And next, 2 questions I will put to Mr. Vinod Kalani, as these are, he interacts with industry leaders a lot. So, Vinod sir, my question to you is, based on your interaction with industry leaders, you have been there, done that, what are the biggest concerns surrounding revised Schedule M implementation? I'm asking about the biggest, let us say 3 biggest concerns you want to share, and how can industry associations bridge the gap between the regulatory requirement and industry realities? These are the 2 questions I want to put to you.
So, actually, my connection was a bit low. Can you just repeat it?
Okay, sir. I'll quickly repeat. Based on your interactions with industry leaders, what are the biggest concerns surrounding revised Schedule M implementation? 3 concerns or 2 concerns you can share with us as you are interacting with industry leaders. And how can industry association bridge the gap between the regulatory requirements and industry realities?
So the biggest concern I find discussing with the industry colleagues and the other association leader is the timeline. People are still not very clear about the, as Dr. Sanjeet Singh ji also mentioned, regarding the gap analysis. What is their current status, and what is the new Schedule M? So the MSME, specifically small industry who are not having WHO GMP, are not very aware about the new requirements of Schedule M. So first thing is what we all are doing here, educating people. So that this is really required now, so that people get active and they start doing things, as Dr. Ranga said, that you have to really get active. It's not going to, we are not going to get more time. So first, we have to immediately start the gap analysis. We have to immediately start looking at exactly where are we standing, whether we'll be able to comply with it or not. As Harish said, the water system, HVAC system, these are 2 very important things for MSME to upgrade. So my concern is time, as well as people should get acquainted, and they should have knowledge of what they have to target, what they have to do. As Dr. Sanjeet Singh's presentation was very good, where he mentioned that you make an Excel chart, you make a your in-house thing, that how we are going to address the implementation, what are your timelines. So these things are very important today. The second question you said, Swati ji?
Sir, about how associations can bridge the gap between the regulatory requirements and...
Okay, associations are... I would like to go in the past when this draft notification came. So we had our own internal team where we studied the document. Then wherever we felt that there are certain anomalies, certain things which were not practical, we represented in the due time which is provided in any notification. We requested the government to go for those changes. So that was one part. Then the other part is, recently also we have requested certain problems which industry is facing, or certain issues which may come up. and we have again represented few months back to the DCGI and to the government to look at those things. So one is that. Another thing is we all understand this is going to be implemented. So two things. One is timeline. One is whatever practical difficulties are there, we are working with the government, and we are really thankful to the department, to the DCGI, to the government that they'll definitely look into, and we'll be able to work on the behalf of our manufacturers, our members, to get them rectified. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinod sir, for making these points. Yes, timelines, and time and again, time is, clicking. So get started. I would put some questions to Dr. Rajesh Gupta next. Dr. Rajesh, how do you anticipate revised Schedule M impacting small-scale pharmaceutical manufacturers? Those are the segment which are getting impacted most. So, what is going to happen with them? And can you share any potential challenges or roadblocks for companies located in pharma hubs like Baddi or Hyderabad, etc., they may face during implementation? So what are the impacts and what challenges that these small-scale manufacturers may?
Thank you very much, Swati, and giving me the opportunity. And once you asked the anticipate revised Schedule M implementing small-scale pharmaceutical manufacturer, so you should know about that in the pharmaceutical formulation in India is around 5,509 industry, and that 5,900 industry, almost 5,000 is a small-scale industry. So no doubt it is already implemented for the large corporate is from 30th June onwards, and the from small scale it will be from 1st January 2025. The potential challenges is compliance, machinery procurement, validation, skill workforce, training, empowerment, and retention for small scale. Because mainly the small scale unit is known for the training center. And infra to process, operational challenges, operational costs definitely would be high, no doubt. We all are accepted because our regulators is very much satisfied with this. Once they introduce this Schedule M, they are very much confident and given to the industry also to, if you achieve these targets, we can stand with the world with full of confidence that India producing a quality medicines. So we are with the regulators, we are with the systems management, but these are the potential challenges because the small scale industry right now, the majority is operating for P2P. Okay, and that P2P, that large corporate required to be a hand holding, not go for only for cost cutting and everything. So it is to be required to large corporate also. And once those are already operating their own products in the markets, their biggest challenge for to maintain this implementation deadline and one side education to the entire system, as well as another side, we being an industry representative will try to extend at least for implementation, and we are already line up with the ministry, we are line up with the honorable DCGI also in this matter. And but as far as the FOPE has taken its initiative, we are working on both the side. One side we are working for education to our entire among our fraternity, and another side we are working for the extension also, for extension for implementation, extension for not permanent extension, extension for implementation. It is a practical approach because like Ranga sir has already said, there is a pass box, there is a huge queue in the manufacturer sites, and that delivery will not be possible next 6 months to 1 year. So it is the practical like HVAC system and other manufacturing machineries which are required. Some of the validation is required. So these are the challenges has to meet out by the, like right now today we are crossing 710 participants. This means that the awareness is going on. So we are, our duty is both the side, and we are, I think we are with the collaboration with the CDSO, with the ministry, and amongst the fraternity, we can achieve a good standard of the manufacturing practices.
Thank you, Dr. Rajesh. So actually the communication is going two-way. Dr. Ranga is listening to this also.
Yeah, it is always, and he is always supportive in this way.
So thank you so much. And moving towards a few questions to Dr. Sanjeet from my side, and then we will open up the forum for participation from the participants also here. We will take up your questions also, whatever time we are left with. Dr. Sanjeet, quickly I'll ask you one or two questions. First of all, you have a global experience. You have Japanese, US, and whatnot. So in your global experience, what are some best practices for implementing GMP regulations similar to revised Schedule M? You have already seen the world and how it happens in different countries. And also, any cost-effective strategy that companies in India can adopt to achieve compliance with the new regulation?
Thank you, Dr. Swati, and great comments from other members. So yes, you're right. There is no end to what we can achieve, and the quality standards can be raised to the best in the world. I always give an example that when we are the same people, when we go to Singapore or Japan, we can do wonders. We are very disciplined. It's a mindset. So I would say this was a time when some companies many years back said that India cannot produce a sterile product and export to US and Europe. 2003, Lupin. I was leading that thing, and we did that for the first time in 2003. Formulation and API both going to the US, Europe markets, and then Japan market. Then Japanese market, it is very difficult. You will not be able to reach. Yes, it is very difficult, but not impossible. 2010 started, 2011, the India-made product lands into the Japanese market and is doing for approximately 15 products till now. So we are the same people who can implement, who can achieve anything. This is the same team. And I congratulate finally to the members, especially the CDSCO, who has brought parity in the international regulations, especially WHO, PIC, and Schedule M. Because as you said rightly, we cannot have different standards for our people, and then when we export to other countries, our people, they get impacted because of poor quality or otherwise in the export market. So it has to, patient is a patient. Wherever is a patient, patient is one. And the requirements of patient is only one. My point is that if you see from the quality management system point of view, quality management system implementation is not expensive as most of the people think. If you see from the documentation point of view, whether there is a problem, yes, there is a problem. Problem can happen in the pharmaceutical industry everywhere. And when US FDA inspector in 2011 asked me how many deviations and problems you have, I said, I have 365 problems in a year, at least. And though we were the first to get that approval immediately after a week or so in a US FDA approval, because we spoke, yes, there are problems, but there are solutions. So I would say same thing for the India pharmaceutical market, entrepreneurs, as well as the people, teams here, that first of all, I think let's strengthen our quality management system. Let's not talk about big facilities, beautiful facilities, state-of-art facilities. Yes, they are probably good improvement. First important thing is, how do you make sure that we do not create undue risk to the patient? And how do we make sure that at least the basics are informed? Like, if you see from quality management system point of view, we need to have right people. The first and foremost important is right people, trained people, inspired people. And that's the role of the senior management. What it does require is a good hiring practices. Second comes is a good quality management system where you need to know that you have systems, procedures, operating procedures, and also quality management systems like change control we talked about today, investigation procedures, root cause analysis, good corrective and preventive actions in place, and good risk management. Does it require huge money? No, but it requires good efforts. It requires huge efforts by the teams, collective teams, collaborative teams. And I think the industry also need to really work and support each other. And this is the forum responsibility. What we are doing today, we are supporting the industry to understand, to find out what is the diagnosis through a gap analysis. My own experience is that even if you want to do for a US or a European market, and it's the same facility, like I did many years back, one facility, India market, US market, Europe market, Japan market, and at least 70 other markets of the globe, around 80 countries, by one market, one system, and the cost was comparable to the lowest in the generic industry. So I generally do not believe this part, that when you implement a quality system or improved quality management system, you become expensive. I do not agree with that, because that's my own experience of 35 years. Yes, there may be some initial cost because they are for your benefit, whether it is for good layout of the facility, good material and man flows, good HVAC system to prevent contamination, good gowning practices, good water systems in place, because that's the major raw material for you. And then finally, you have to continuously train your people to make sure that they do not go off track. They remain on track. Your facility should remain in control. I can tell you, I've seen the very, very small facilities, but they are in state of control because their management and their leaders, the tone at the top is so good, they do not want their people to have non-compliance. And I've seen the best of facilities with a computerized equipment and whatnot, you say, and their people cannot manage that because they are not skilled enough to manage that resource. So it's like what we want to do. Schedule M today gives us an opportunity at least to correct our baseline. And with some minimal investment, I think this is something which we can do. I don't think it will add cost much to our products. And over a period of time, my own experience is when you do this upgradations, overall cost of ownership and overall cost of quality improvement goes down over a period of time. So that's what my sincere advice to the companies is, even small companies, is to start small, but at least remain on the baseline. We don't want frills. We don't want too big, beautiful facilities. Whatever we are doing, do it with proper system, quality management system in place, and make sure your people are trained enough to handle those activities which they are supposed to do.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjeet. So yes, quality culture has to be strengthened, and in future also we have to, comply with this. So there is no going back now. It's all going forward now. We also would like to thank Mr. Vinod Kalani, since he has to leave due to some urgent meeting. Vinod sir, thank you so much for being there. If you can be here, please be here. Otherwise, we'll continue with some questions from the audience. And Harish sir, over to you. You have seen all the questions that have been posted. I will give the forum to you to first answer a few questions which you feel that should be answered forthrightly. Yeah.
Thank you, Swati. I think continuing, I think great panel discussion we had, and thanks specifically Ranga Chandrasekhar-ji and Sanjeet Singh-ji for such a great insight into what is Schedule M and what is actually the practical approach. Now, continuing with what he had said, I remember a decade back then I was on my visit to UK, and there I came across a very interesting company, 𝐒𝐜𝐴 approved company based out of UK, and competing with the Indian companies on price on the simple products like paracetamol, aspirin, ibuprofen, and I don't want to name the company, but then I can tell you he was competing with the Indian companies for the UK's NHS tender, and every time he used to win the tender, and that's such a great company. So I second what Sanjeet Singh ji had said. By improving the quality, we might as well decrease the cost in terms of rejections, in terms of increasing the productivity. I think that is what is all about. Now, coming to the questions, I think the very first questions I will put to Sanjeet Singh ji as well. Now, as per the revised Schedule M for non-sterile APIs, I think there's a classification as far as HVAC and the air supply system is concerned. There doesn't seem to be any clarification. So there's no specific thing about it. So what is your view on that?
Thank you, Harishi. I think as I remember then when this draft came out and in our earlier discussions also of revision of Schedule M, the reference is made for non-sterile manufacturers to look at a WHO guidelines on HVAC system which qualifies to class 100,000 classification at rest for even oral solids and liquid manufacturing companies, though there may be just a reference here, but as has been also mentioned that for such areas, we need to look at the WHO guidelines, and WHO guidelines are clear about it that we need to have 100,000 area classification for that, and all requirements regarding HVAC validation, control, reporting, monitoring is to be done as per that WHO guideline.
Thank you. I think the next question again to you, sir. I think one Akash Tiwari had asked for, what is the kind of timelines are required for implementation of identified gaps?
So, well, I think as Dr. Ranga said earlier, the timeline is, we have already implemented for first phase, which is for larger companies. And for the next phase, the second phase, we know that it is the end of this year, or you can say safely 1st of January that we are going to implement. So what happens is when you do a gap assessment, generally a gap assessment, if you have a cross-functional team of 3 to 4 people looking at individual areas, you can do a gap assessment within maximum 1 week. Once the gap analysis is done, you need to verify that gap analysis by having a larger discussion with the departmental heads to ensure that there is no gap which is still remaining. So I would say at the most 10 days you take for doing a gap analysis. Once your gap analysis is ready, you have a ready reckoner list available. What is the kind of an action you need to take and what is the target date of completion? Of course, our objective should be to make sure that we should complete our actions before the implementation date is there, which is 1st of January next year. But I know, as I said, all these required guidances are all available online from the WHO portal point of view to give clarity on that. But gap analysis definitely can be done quickly in the first week or 10 days.
I think the next question is by Arnab, which you asked for. I think it's a very broad question. You asked about what are the key elements for establishment of Schedule M. I'm sure Dr. Sanjit Singh ji and Dr. Rangaji, in their address, they already covered that. So I'm not going to take up that question. And there is another interesting question of from Arun from Lupin. Addition is the need of Arun from Lupin asks, needs a clarity on point 1.2328 under part 8 for the requirement of manufacture of oral solid dosage forms. Now, addition is the need of action and alert limit on temperature and humidity. For real-time compliance of requirement, manufacturer needs automation, that is EMS and BMS system. Now he needs a guidance from the panel. Is there a setting up of action and alert limit in logbooks and batch record can suffice the purpose? Now, what he wants to actually say is, instead of having a BMS system, whether the putting actions and alert limits in the logbook, is it sufficient, or do we require automatic BMS system?
An automatic, some part I can answer that looking at the situation and whether it is sterile areas or whether it is oral solids or other areas. Automatic building management system is not essential and it is not a requirement by any regulatory agencies worldwide. What is required is that when you are looking at these alert and action levels, you need to do a risk-based approach. You need to follow what is my area. If it is an oral solid, my risk-based approach, whatever is my process controls, which I'm keeping, or in-process controls or environmental controls, which I'm keeping, are they supportive to the manufacturing of that product, or are they detrimental to the manufacturing of that? For example, simple question can be effervescent tablets if somebody is manufacturing. Relative humidity of a 20% and temperature less than 20 degrees is the requirement. And then you need to keep special considerations for HVAC system to support that area. And then when you look at action and alert levels, you need to make sure that you do not cross 20 in both the cases, whether it is temperature or RH. And based on your own initial validation and also environmental monitoring studies, you can do a risk-based assessment that what are my controls? Am I within that window, or am crossing over that window? And that's where I think you need to make changes in your HVAC system if you're crossing that window. But regulatory agency is accepting whether you have a manual-based environmental management system or it's a fully automatic building management system. So it is not something which is essential for the companies.
I think that nicely answered. I think the key thing is as a management, we should understand what are the risks involved in our own system. There cannot be any hard and fast rule, and it also depends on the level of data integrity. I think probably the management expects from his own trained personnel and something. As long as I'm sure the data which is fed on the logbooks are relevant, real time, I'm sure the regulator is going to accept even the manual entries in the logbooks. I think thank you for that answer. I think the next question is to Ranga Chandrasekhar-ji. I think it's a very hot topic. Sir, you are there? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Can nutraceutical product can be manufactured with drug products?
So you have put a very contentious question. I don't think I should answer right now, but as far the legality is concerned, even before the current the current schedule as well as the new schedule says no other product other than drugs should be manufactured in the same facility. Having said that, there have been representations from the industry and quite a number that at least some categories of food supplements or nutraceuticals should be permitted to be manufactured. So the government has constituted a committee. The DCG has constituted a committee wherein I'm also a member. There has been industry representation and also academic representation. From one of the professors from NIPER is there, one industry expert is there, and some few of regulators are there. We are seriously studying the issue. So, but I can tell only this thing that we are not looking at the regulatory practices of other countries or what other regulators are telling. We are looking from the scientific standpoint, how it is going to, if allowed, how it is going to affect the quality of the drugs that are manufactured in the same facility. So that would be, at least I can tell till such thing, that this is the impression, my personal impression, and other members also, I feel, because the committee is still discussing the matter. Other members also are, I can say, they are in concurrence of the view, but I can't say more than that. So let us wait till for the outcome of the committee, and then committee itself decision will not be final. This decision will be given, sent to the DCGI and to the ministry, and the ministry decision would be final because there is a need to amend the rule or maybe revise the rule. Then only this becomes in effect. So at this point of time, so this is my answer.
I think the next question probably I'll answer myself. There was an interesting question from Professor 𝗤𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗏. Probably he's an academician, and he asked how academics should implement the revised Schedule M. I think it depends on at what level you want to teach the students, whether it's at B.Pharm level or M.Pharm level. Now at the B.Pharm level, what I can say is what today's presentation of Sanjit Singh ji, I think probably that is sufficient if you can include that in the curriculum. And that gives you an overview of what is Schedule M. And if you're looking at teaching them at the probably at the post-graduation level, you can think of, I think, whatever the Schedule M, revised Schedule M has been notified, that can be itself, it can be a one chapter or one probably 50% of one semester, where you can teach all the aspects of revised Schedule M. And probably you can also involve some of the regulators and the industry experts to teach them. I think that is the way you can implement and be doing so much of great service to the industry as well as to the students themselves. I think somebody, M.Pharm pass out and who is great in knowing each and every aspect of Schedule M, getting a great job for him is not going to be a very difficult task. I think that is one thing. I think another question for Chandrasekhar ji from Abhishek. Why roles and responsibilities of only quality and production is defined? and no other functions like stores, logistics, and engineering departments.
See, generally, what is the purpose of making the rules? The purpose of making the rules is that it is mandatory that these areas need to be followed in this manner. But does not mean that if they are not mentioned, so there is something that need not be done. So if any particular topic, issue, concern is not mentioned, that means the provisions are giving you liberty to make your own SOPs or make your own procedures or make your own practices. So if any of these things are not available in Schedule M, so you can follow the best practices that are, for example, any other standards or maybe documents issued by other regulatory agencies, or maybe something like ISPE associations or any other ICH or any other multilateral bodies that you can follow. So that's what I can tell. That I think it is better for you, no, because you have a liberty to make your own procedure and then follow. That would be more convenient to you rather than someone telling like you do only this way. Thank you, Hariji.
I think Chandrasekharji, I think what you mentioned during your address is key compared to the old Schedule M and revised Schedule M. There has been additions and enhancements. So probably normally this Schedule M is not the end. This is also becomes a basis for the next revision of the Schedule M. So probably based on the risks the regulators will find, and then probably the roles and responsibility of the other departments also can be added up. But then, as you said, I think this is only it depends on the kind of it gives a leverage to the manufacturers to have their own systems in place. Now, coming to the vendor audit, I think another very important area, and lots of questions are there. And there have been many questions. Basically, the questions are basically what is the kind of vendor qualification, how we should go about, whether the physical, virtual, or thing. And another important thing is, how do we do vendor assessment and vendor qualification of Chinese manufacturers? I think I will put that question to Sanjit Singh ji.
Overall, if we look at from the vendor qualification process, whether it is Schedule M today or European regulations or any other international regulations, it is one of the basic components for input control. So when you look at any kind of an input control, which can be APIs or excipients or even solvents which you are using, you have to depend on the manufacturer to make sure that it complies to its specifications. Now, what we need to do, we need to have, first of all, a detailed vendor qualification procedure, an SOP, and also a process, what we are going to check in a vendor qualification process. There are specific guidances available from APIC as well as other agencies on vendor qualification process. So vendor qualification has to be a combination. As I said, if it is a high risk area, if you are using that API for the first time for your product, and this is very important for you to establish not only the specification parameters, but also formulation parameters, where, for example, particle size distribution is one of the very important area if you are manufacturing an oral solid tablet kind of a product. In that case, you need to have a face-to-face discussion and see the facilities at the site of a manufacturer, whether they are capable of supplying you a product consistently or not. I quote you one example. 2007, I went to China to audit a company, and I found out that that company was having only a board at the gate of the company, and I could see the chimney smoke flowing in, only the security person in place, and there was nobody in the company who was actually manufacturing a product. So that particular company was getting a bulk from some other agency or a company, and only repacking that product in their premises and selling it across throughout the world. And that was a large solvent which we were supposed to get in tons from that company. I have seen similar examples in India. While doing a vendor qualification, we need to have an understanding with a manufacturer to implement a particular quality system. That means if an API manufacturer implements any change which can impact the impurity profile or a particle size distribution of an API, they must respond proactively to the user, that is a formulation company, so that the formulation company can take care in their control what impact that can have on the quality of a formulation. If you do not know such things, you will have impact in your formulation. Then you will look at how do you manage this defect in your product. So better is to act proactively and see if you see the risk is high. If it is an API and impurities are there, and impurity control is a very important area. It's a new product, it's a cardiovascular product, it's a risky product, it's a diabetes product, it's a CNS product. And you need to look at their cleaning validation at their API site, then go for a physical audit. If you've already started using a company with one physical audit, you can repeat a physical audit maybe after 3 years or little more also, depending upon a risk. But every now and then, you need to follow up with that company with a virtual mode and corresponding with them through a video conference or through sharing of the documents to make sure that you get confidence about the supply of the input material which is coming to you. So actually, when you look at the onus, the responsibility lies on the user. That's the most important thing, whether you perform. So it is not, nobody is saying that you do a vendor qualification audit every time physically at the site, even in China. But when you know this is a very important product, which it's not available in India, and I'm forced to import from China, at least first time, I must know what is the way this product is manufactured, what is the quality system the company has, and how do I make sure that they will be able to supply me a consistent quality over future. Every time, no physical audit is required for all packaging components. Sometimes physical audit required, sometimes virtual audit required. So it is always a hybrid model which you have to adopt using both physical as well as the virtual mode. And in my opinion, the first year always is difficult, where you have to do a physical mode, but later on, you can scale it down to a virtual mode and also correspondence with the company about the consistency of the material. If you, as a user, you are finding difficulties in consistency of API or a key material which you are receiving, then it makes sense to go there physically and verify why this is happening. But if you are getting a consistent supply, you don't have any failures, then virtual mode is fine. So it's all depending upon what is the kind of risk which is involved in your operations.
I think that the next question is from Charanjit Kaur. I think this is regarding the informing the licensing authority in case of quality failure and recalls and all that. Her specific question is, do we need to inform the licensing authority in case of stability failure? I think I'll put that question to Chandrasekharji.
Yeah, Dr. Ranga.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Harishji. So if I hope if I understand correctly that your question is, if your product is under stability and it has failed to meet the specifications, then whether we should inform the licensing authority or not. Here, we need more clarity, because if the product is under development, then it does not come under the purview of the drugs rules 1945. In such a case, I don't think there is a need that you inform the licensing authority, because it is still under development and the product is not meant to be placed in the market. But in case the product is already placed in the market and you have charged it to the stability, in such a case, if the product is already distributed, then it is your responsibility that you inform the licensing authority and take step to mitigate the risk, that is to recall the product from the market. Maybe there will be some other cases where it is a commercial product, but still you have not placed in the market. So these are so many if and buts are there, but broadly, I think whatever I have said, ultimately one has to keep the patient safety in view. If the patient safety is being affected in any manner, so it is your responsibility to immediately inform the licensing authority. For more details, you can read the conditions of the license, So that are under the rules as well as the license that is issued to the manufacturer. That will give more situation that I don't know in which situation you're asking. So that will address your query specifically, depending upon which situation and context that you are referring to. Thank you.
So next question also to you, sir. I think the Umesh Kaushal asked, WHO is also changing its accreditation to SRA to WHO WLA. Now, currently CDSCO is under ML3 level for vaccines only. Is CDO is also planning further to improve the system requirement to meet the WHO listed authority, as implementing the new Schedule M requirements requires lot of efforts from manufacturer, and once the system is improvised, it should be harmonized to get global platform for manufacturing in terms of GMPs.
So thank you again for the question. WHO earlier had followed this practice of identification or giving stringent regulatory authority status to certain countries or regulatory agencies. Now there were concerns on this type of practice, so the WHO has withdrawn this thing, and now they are just mentioning the WHO listed countries. The listed countries means there will be various categories, the manufacturing countries or consuming countries like that. Under manufacturing countries, so the maximum level will be ML4, maturity level 4. For in case of consuming countries, it will be maturity level 1 or 2. After that, they do not apply. The problem with India is that the licensing is with the states, because our constitution says that the subject drug is shared between the state and the central government. So certain areas are regulated by the state, certain areas are regulated by the central government, that is CDSCO. That means powers are shared between the center and the state. And because of this, there is a lack of uniformity across the country. And moreover, we are not in line with the international practices in various respects. So the WHO has been pressing that let them audit the Indian regulatory system. That means they will be auditing both the state as well as the CDSCO and issue the maturity level, whichever is we other two. But only in case of vaccines, it is a dual licensing system. Because of that, the CDSCO has all the requisite information, and we are being continuously audited by the WHO. Audit has happened earlier also. The last audit happened in 2017, and we have reached the WL maturity level 3. And now the next audit is expected to be in about 2 months. And our endeavor will be to achieve the maturity level 4. With respect to other categories like drugs, until unless there is a uniformity across the country, and we have the systems in place to audit that the state as well as the CDSCO are following the international practices, then we can't go for the audit. But however, this revised Schedule M would be a step in that direction, that we will be able to meet the WL3 and 4 requirements of the WHO, so that maybe in future, once the compliance is assessed throughout the country, if the uniformity is achieved, then we can go for the assessment of the WHO for drugs as well. Thank you.
I think the next question, let me answer myself. This regarding what is the synonym for starting material as per Schedule M. I'm sure, I think Dr. Rangaji has already said, I think the objective is to achieve a minimum quality on a consistent basis, and that quality has to be defined by every particular manufacturer. So right from starting material like API till your last cello tape or the BOPP tape, everything becomes a part of the definition of starting material, and specifications and everything has to be followed up for the those particular things. For example, let me give the simplest of the BOPP tape. Now BOPP tape, we should know what is the width of that BOPP tape, what is the, from who is the vendor who can suffice, what is the color, what is the thickness of your tape. I think everything is important, and everything which goes into the product forms the part of the starting material and thing. I think the next question again is to Chandrasekhar Rangaji. Is the implementation of online NVPC counter is mandatory for sterile product manufacturing by using VFS or FFS technology?
Yeah, sorry, I could not get the question. Can you just?
I think I don't know what does he. I myself don't know what is the. I think Sanjit Singh ji also might be known. Implementation of online NVPC. This question is from Sachin.
Okay, online NVPC.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly.
Basically, he's saying asking about liquid bond particle counter.
Okay.
So non-viable. It's an NVPC, non-viable particle counter.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So is that, I think Sanjit Singh, you can itself answer whether implementation of online NVPC counter is mandatory for sterile manufacturing?
So if we look at from the aseptic area, if we are manufacturing the product through aseptic process area, there is a direct correlation of particulates with the level of microbial contamination in the area, which has been proven. So if you look at today, the requirements which are recently been announced last year was on Annex 1, which is from the Europe. Now, as far as if we look at from Schedule M revision is concerned, it is not clearly mentioned that we need these particular counters or online counting or offline counting is required. But if specifically we are looking at aseptic processed sterile products, it is required to maintain the classification of the area as per the WHO GMP requirements. And if we look at that, it is required that till the product is being manufactured from morning, for example, till lunchtime or continuously 6 hours, we need to have provisions for monitoring of non-viable particle counts during this period as per as the WHO GMP is concerned. So if you see from the compliance perspective, there are different ways to do non-viable particle counting. And these are, to be assessed by each company. What is the kind of batch size they have? What is the duration of the filling? Based on that, and offline or online mode can be decided. But again, I'll say all is risk-based. You have to do a risk assessment saying that if I do not do this, what can happen? And if I am not getting clarity about my particle count during the time when I'm filling a critical product under aseptic manufacturing area, then we need to make sure that we have a particle counter installed.
The next question again to Sanjit Singh ji. Why every container of API and excipients identification is required? Can we use skip testing after 3-lot analysis from same vendor?
I think Schedule M is very clear on this thing that as far as the APIs are concerned, we need to make sure we need to check on the consistency and reliability of the supply which has been given to the company. Now, as I said, the onus and responsibility lies on the manufacturer of a finished product to assess whether I'm getting that consistency or reliability. And Schedule M new provisions have given relaxation only in one situation, where a company is manufacturing a product dedicatedly, only one product. That means there is no chances of a cross-contamination between products. That is the time you can actually follow a vendor qualification process. And once your vendor is qualified and approved, you can have a skip testing based on statistical quality control if the facility is dedicated. But if the facility is not dedicated, this relaxation or provision is not provided in the Schedule M.
I think the next question to Dr. Rajesh Gupta. Rajesh ji, what are the expenses involved in the implementation of revised Schedule M for MSME companies? Is there HDMA or Laghu Udyog Bharti or FOPE has done any kind of a study on that?
You are unmute, Dr. Rajesh, please unmute.
Sorry, the FOPE, Laghu Udyog Bharti or HDMA or any other association like KPDMA, these all are on the one platform. Right now, the small scale industry is already burdened by the existing bank loan. The revised PTOS, we are blessed that Dr. Ranga as well already introduced and changed the entire revised PTOS scheme from interest subvention to the subsidy. But again, government has very much cautious about to promote the quality. They they freeze the amount on 1 crore for WHO and 50 lakh for Schedule M. It is our requested to should not be discriminate between the Schedule M or the WHO, but the government is already accepted the quality of either by the product generated by the Schedule M plant or by the WHO GMP plant. So subsidy should be remain same. Number two, whosoever the industry wanted to get it the bank loan because it's the subject to the size of the industry for infrastructure changes regarding minimum requirement from 4 crore to 10 crore, subject to the size of the industry and subject to the size of the section those are operating right now. Usually the small scale is operating minimum 3 section in every plant. As far as our discussions, my General Secretary, Mr. Munish Thakur, is also available in the panel in the entire session. So we are already every time we are deliberating with the manufacturers. So these are the outcome from the manufacturer side. So the existing banks till now couldn't understand what is the requirement of the government of India by the way of Schedule M implementation. And they are analyzing the balance sheets and books of the small industry as per their existing performance. But if the government is not providing the hand-holding information to the concerned banks or the entire banking center via way of RBI, these are the fundamental requirement to provide the financial assistance to the such companies. Those are already existing, having existing loan, but to survival, it is to be required to provide the loan facility. Maybe the cut down of the section 1 or 2 that's subject to their financial ability and the workforce and the whatever the skills they already right now they had. So these are the combinations. The Hariji, we all are in the same platform. These are combination we require for the industry to transferring from this era to Schedule M era. These are my humble submission.
I think what I can go a little bit further. I think FOPE around in 2018, 2019, we had done a small study where the person who is already complying with the old Schedule M, and if he has to move to the revised Schedule M, and the cost involved for gap analysis, then the engagement of a consultant, putting a capital cost and the implementation cost in terms of documentation and all that, we thought the one is that the cost involved, and for a MSME who are having 2 to 3 sections, we had estimated that the cost is going to be anywhere between 3 crore to 5 crore rupee. That is number one, and the timeline is going to be minimum around 2 to 3 years time. See, what happens is if we have to do the infrastructure changes, so it's easier to build a new factory rather than doing a changes in the existing factory. There are a lot of variables,
lot of challenges.
Yes,
lot of challenges to operate between the running unit.
In a running unit is like you are doing a heart operation for a heart which is already running. So, and many a time what happens is MSME companies are not able to stop their operations. What they will do is probably to stop the operation of one section and do the maybe some in a phase wise, because for them it's a every day, it's a hand to mouth existence. So this is what it is. Anyways, another question.
Can I make a comment, Hariji? Can I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
So regarding the scheme, so Rajesh ji bataya the the scheme was there earlier also, before the introduction of this new revised schedule. So at that point of time, the scheme was meant for upgrading the facility from the Schedule M to WHO COPP requirements. So when the Schedule M has been revised and implemented, then we have suggested that we should have one scheme to support the industry. So I mean, making a scheme, because this scheme requires the approval of the cabinet. So preparing another scheme and getting the approval of the cabinet, it is very time consuming. And moreover, there are budget constraints also because new budget has to be allocated. So instead of that, the ministry thought, DOP thought that let us revise the existing scheme to include the upgradation. So the basic objective of the earlier scheme was to achieve COPP, and the new additional objective was to achieve Schedule M. So we have clubbed both these objectives together and revised the scheme. So that is why this requirement of certification for both Schedule M and COPP has put in place. But having said that, everyone knows, you and everyone know that once you comply with the Schedule M, that is revised Schedule M, so automatically someone will be meeting the requirements of the COPP. So that will be not much a hassle, but the difference is that the Schedule M certification is given by the state, and COPP certification is issued by the joint inspection. This is the only difference. So once someone gets a certification immediately by the state, they get 50 lakhs. The remaining after certification by the joint inspection, they will get the remaining amount. So this is the background. So that's what I would like to clarify.
I think here I would like to add the case. There have been recent communication from Department of Pharmaceuticals. Not many companies have applied for that subsidy scheme, which is almost up to 1 crore, which is available. Now, I want to use this particular platform, request all my industry colleagues, please make use of this scheme. Is not going to be with a great difficulty. We could, I think, increase the percentage of subsidy from 10% to 20%, which is quite adequate. Please apply for that scheme in large numbers and avail the benefit. I think the next question is
just the scheme has become very attractive because 1 crore is not a small amount, and if
Yes.
someone is investing 3 crores, that almost 33% is there. So our committee has recommended, and the recommendations of our committee has been accepted, and the ministry, that is DOP, has issued sanction letters for 7 firms. So there is no need that the entire work need to be completed right now. They just have to give an submission that they will be doing the upgradation in these areas and give a tentative cost, and then the DOP will give a sanction letter. The disbursement will be done after completion and then audit. So you take this opportunity, make an application, and you give the areas which you would like to upgrade. Then the technical committee will assess that, recommend to the DOP. DOP will issue a sanction letter now. And after you complete the work, then after you get the certification, then the actual disbursement takes place. That is why I would like that request everyone. And today there are 100 registrations under this one. So I mean the interest is picking up. So I would urge everyone to make application now. Take the sanction letter. Whether you do it or not do it, that is a different matter. Once you do it, if you don't take the sanction letter tomorrow, there's no question of getting any subsidy. Thank you.
I think we should apply in large numbers so that we can force the government to increase the outlay for the scheme. And that itself is in national interest. I think the next question is any API which can be used to manufacture a formulation in the product till its expiry. So there be many interpretation to assign shelf life of the product. I think I'll put that question to Sanjeet Singh ji, sir.
I think probably Dr. Ranga can clarify, but what I have gone through the revised schedule is very clear that all depends upon your existing stability data of the product. Your shelf life of a product should be based on the API and the stability study data. And once that you have the confirmation, you can actually give your shelf life accordingly. So everything revolves around your own stability data for that. Earlier, there was a linkage, your finished product should not be more than the shelf life of an API and things like that. But there are many situations where through risk assessment and also through actual stability studies, people have the data to confirm that there is no risk to the product as well as to the patient. So I think it is all case-to-case based, but Schedule M is very clear that you need to have your own stability studies confirmed to give a shelf life to a product. It is not a blanket approval which is given based on the shelf life of an API or otherwise.
I think the next question is whether the EU GMP approved plant has to follow the Schedule M requirement. Also related to that is yeah, I think that's right. I think probably I'll answer that question myself. I have to put two conditions. One is that your plant, whether it is located within the territory of India. Second is whether your plant is probably supplying the products to the Indian market. I think if you tick at least one of the boxes, you are supposed to follow the revised Schedule M, whether you are a US FDA, EU GMP, or whatever it is. You can do again the gap analysis. So still, as per the new revised Schedule M, I think once you do the gap analysis, you will find out what are the issues are there. And it is, if you are exporting to a particular country from India, apart from the revised Schedule M, you are also supposed to comply with the requirements of that particular importing country. I think that we should be very clear about it. Another question from Srilata. She asked about, do we have to validate the pharmacopoeial testing method? I'll answer that question again myself. Yes. You need not do the validation. Probably you have to do only the verification in your own equipments, in your equipment as well as your own personnel, to find out whether your equipments are suitable for that particular method of analysis or not, and may have to do a little adjustment with all the proper records. It's only the verification of the pharmacopoeial method. And if you find there are some, many times what happens, whether it's a USP, IP or BP, whatever it is, there are some kind of errors are there in the pharmacopoeial method. We motivate you to please write to those respective pharmacopoeia commissions and get it rectified or clarified. That's one of the question. Can any panelist provide a gist of requirement to be met phase-wise implementation? I think that is already answered. Does this revised Schedule M regulations are limited to allopathic medicines, or either it includes Ayurvedic, homeopathic or Unani form of medicines? I think Chandrasekhar, you will be able to.
Even herbal formulations, sir. Yeah.
No, yeah, thank you. Because these the Schedule M applies only to allopathic system of medicine. They will not apply to any other systems. Other system of medicines like ASU, so they have to comply with the Ayush requirements. Ayush as such does not have their separate requirements, so they are following the WHO COPP for export for natural products.
I think one demand or I would say request from many of the members is whether CDS will be able to share the checklist as per the revised Schedule M, because now whatever the inspections will happen, it will be as per the revised Schedule M, so that if you can share the checklist, that will be great. And then in organizations, more preference to manufacture products or productivity rather than quality systems. I request that we need to, I think it's more of a observation, we need to more focus on follow systems. Now, because of this kind of implementation and training, people get awareness and guidance. Thanks one and all. Lastly, I would request to provide presentation of this. If and more training on QRM required, definitely yes, we will provide. We will also, I think, to benefit of all the entrepreneurs, whatever the DOP scheme is there, that will be shared on the WhatsApp group. So keep watch on the WhatsApp group, and whatever the new developments happen, we will keep on sharing. Does CDSO team has done impact analysis on after the revised Schedule M will be implemented? I think I'll again put that question to Chandrasekhar ji.
So impact analysis. So normally, whenever we make amendment to the rules or introduce new rules, so we do certain sort of not a formal impact analysis, but probably a empirical way of impact analysis. By that analysis, we should have introduced this Schedule M maybe many years earlier, and we have lagged behind for implementation of this Schedule M. And of course, the impact analysis, because of the impact analysis itself, this government of India has introduced this upgradation scheme, wherein they are providing some incentives for upgradation. So all these things have been done. Now it is for us to take a call. So if we care for the patient, if we take the quality of the products seriously, then we have to comply with these requirements. So otherwise, then it is time to say, it's time to take a decision whether which way we think we should go. So thank you.
I think I think then one excellent suggestion has come from some of the audience or members from the audience. With a lot of information we need to inform to the licensing authorities, whether it's a quality failure or recall or the change control is there, which is on major in nature. So can we develop some kind of a platform or a website where we can upload that kind of a recall or something like that, so that it becomes very easy? Rather than otherwise, what happens is we inform them by a way of a paper and obtain acknowledgement. So there'll be plethora of physical papers will be there, and will be even for a licensing authority, it becomes very difficult to access those kind of information. So if you have some kind of an online system where we can upload that kind of a data, that will be great. It's just a suggestion has come. Probably we can look at it on the later stage. During stability study, preservative assay decreases, but preservative efficacy passes. Is it acceptable by regulatory agencies as product is in-house specifications? Sanjeet sir, I think.
Sir, please unmute.
Can you repeat, Harish?
During stability study, preservative assay decreases,
okay,
but preservative efficacy passes. Is it acceptable by regulatory agency as product is in-house specifications?
So if it is in-house specification, I think most important is preservative efficacy studies. If you're able to prove that preservative efficacy test is complying, you need to look at your own internal claims about preservative, because that's your in-house product and it is not a pharmacopoeial product.
Now, what happens is many cases probably is referring to the injectable product where we disclose the suppose benzyl alcohol is 4%. Right. And we people I think when we do the analysis, they do the assay for benzyl alcohol as well. And yes, if that fails less than the limit, then but I don't know whether the preservative efficacy might be okay even if it is 3%.
Ultimately, the test of the times and test of the product is preservative efficacy test. That's the real test of the product. So if there is a decrease in the assay, you need to really look at what is happening, why the degradation is happening. For that, probably your internal percentage which you are keeping for a product is a little higher than what is desired. So your preservative efficacy test is complying, but your assay is going down. But you also need to look at, because of that reduction in assay, are you contributing to any other impurities because of that reduction? That's another area which we need to check. Whether the regulator may not say no to that, but at least if you have your internal impurities which are more than the desired specification, then your product is failing. Maybe it is because of preservative.
The next question is, we have done cleaning validation by using the dose criteria as earlier, and accordingly the matrix was updated and the worst case is same. So the question is that mandatory that we need to revalidate our cleaning process as per the revised guidance of HBAL by following the AD-PD approach. Sanjay Singh ji, I think I'll put that question to again.
Well, if you look at the AD-PD approach, which is a more reliable criteria, not only the dose criteria, then all depends upon what kind of a products you are manufacturing. If you are manufacturing sensitive products, for example, alprazolam you are manufacturing, okay, you have a CNS range of products, which I have seen companies doing it here in some of the companies, and they are not doing cleaning validation on the PD or AD based because they are not looking at the toxicity of a product. So you need to look at, you need to revalidate this if you are making very sensitive products, which can actually create risk for the patient. But if you have a simple products, for example, if you have a paracetamol you are manufacturing or aspirin you are manufacturing, your dose criteria may be sufficient in that. You need not do AD, PD based cleaning validation again. So again, there is no one single answer to everything. You need to assess what kind of a products you are manufacturing, what kind of a risk this changeovers can bring to the next product. Are you adding any cross-contamination to that? So sometimes just the dose criteria or the visible criteria is not enough. That is the reason you need to bring AD and PD based approach in cleaning validation.
I think the next question, I think one of the viewer has put is, A minimum batch size should be prescribed to meet the revised Schedule M. I think the revised Schedule M, there is nothing like that minimum batch size. It all depends on what is your minimum batch size is there, and whether your batch size is 1,000 or 1 crore. I think the Schedule M remains the same, and you have to comply with all the requirements. There is no compromise on that, because for you, even a one tablet which is going out of the specification should be more important than whatever is your batch size. I think the next question was, what are the regulatory requirements of development of existing and new generic products? Probably they have, I think in the revised schedule, they have given a small paragraph on that. And there is also a guidance document from CDSCO, where while applying a license for a generic product, what should be the documentation to be submitted. I think that can be a basis for what is the requirement as for the development of existing and new generic product. I would like to add here is that please follow the quality by design approach as well as the risk assessment approach. I think that will take you, I think once you put these two criteria into implementation, I'm sure the quality failures will be minimum. What to do if you procure material from supplier, not from manufacturer? Sanjeet Singh ji again.
Well, I think these are very clear. Actually, they have been there with a lot of confusions in the past also. It all depends upon when you are taking a product from a supplier. Ultimately, your responsibility is to qualify the manufacturer for the quality and consistency of the product they are delivering to you. You cannot go for a vendor qualification of the supplier who is giving you a product, because he's not the manufacturer, he's just a trader. So trader is not required to be qualified as far as the overall vendor qualification is concerned. Trader needs to be checked for storage of the materials which he is procuring and which he is supplying to you. Are there good storage practices at their side, or are there any kind of pests which are there at their site? So these are practical cases which has been seen. But ultimately, when there is a supplier, there is a corresponding manufacturer, and we are required to do vendor qualification of the manufacturer in principle.
I think now we have, I think time, we are fully running out of time. There are a huge number of questions are still pending. I request everyone to please put those questions by email or on the WhatsApp group. We will send to all the panelists and try to get the answers as much as important. I think one last question, automatic door interlocking is required or not?
Depends upon where you are manufacturing. What is the kind of a product you are manufacturing? Is there any risk of cross-contamination? If you are manufacturing a sterile product, from a classification point of view, the Schedule M is very clear. You need to maintain that classification. And if you have a door which is opening and there is a sudden inrush of the air which is happening in that area, and it disturbs your airflow pattern, it disturbs your differential pressure, you need to make sure there is a airlock. There is need to automatic airlock is essential in that case, because if both the doors get open, there is a tendency to equalize on the pressure. Your classified area may not be in the control. That's why interlocking is essential. So again, depends upon which areas you are talking about. All doors need not be interlocked. Only areas where a particular classification is required, you need to assess whether my classification will get disturbed if I have both the doors opening at the same time. But also, it's a good practice to have one door opening at one time. It gives you really control over your area. So it is better to have an interlocking of the doors.
I think we are hugely running out of time, and still I think around 20-25 questions are there. I think let us stop it there.
Yeah.
And probably I think we will take up during our on the WhatsApp chat or by emails and all that. Thank you very much, all the panelists, and for such a patient answering all the questions. Over to you, Swati.
Thank you, Harish sir. Thank you, Dr. Chandrasekhar Ranga. Thank you, Dr. Sanjeet. Thank you, Dr. Rajesh. Thank you, Vinod sir. And biggest thank to all the participants. Along with a Q&A, there is also a consultation session that is happening, part consultation session that happened today in the Q&A session. And I think that helps all of us. So my Big thanks to all the panelists for patiently answering them and making it clear for all of us. We see the level of question. They are very simple also. They are complicated questions also. There are questions on the regulatory aspect. There are questions on their own costs and all. So we really appreciate the way you have participated and put the questions to the panelists, made them think and answer. So 3 cheers to that. We look forward to again hosting you on session 2 for in the series, and this is going to happen
on the pharmaceutical quality system.
Okay, so the topic is here. It will be on pharmaceutical quality systems, and it will happen on 28th. Till date, this is the date that has been finalized. In case there are any changes, we will update every information and share it with you in the WhatsApp group, through emailers, and through our social media handles. We request you all to please follow FOPE LinkedIn channel, PharmaState Academy LinkedIn channels also, because all the information will go through the social media also. So that is it from our end. Please send us the feedback. Harish, so over to you to give a thank you note to all the speakers, dignitaries, and participants.
Thank you, Swati ji. I think before I give a vote of thanks, I would like to, summarize what all, maybe in a couple of minutes, summarize what all we have discussed today. And today's session was, I think, probably more of a kind of an introductory session. What is coming up and what is the requirement, overview of the Schedule M. And it started off with the addressed by the various dignitaries, like Arjun Kapoor talked about what is FOPE is all about. Then you talked about what is Pulse, and then I talked about what is the vision of FOPE and how the Schedule is going to help us. Then we had a welcome address from the Vinod Kalani, co-chairman FOPE. And very important, I think there was a very great message from our chief guest today, Ranga Chandrasekhar ji. I think what is the thinking about the government? He gave us that about that. The emphasis is on. He talked about what is the emphasis and how do we ensure consistent quality of drugs we manufacture. I think it's a small line, but then very important line. Consistent quality, I think that is more important than anything else. I think our product, every tablet which comes off out of our company should be of, every syrup which comes of our company should be having the same quality and same predetermined quality throughout the shelf life of the product. He enumerated, I think, the greatest benefit, I think, we had, I think, almost, we were not expecting, but then Chandrasekhar Rangaji was great. I think today we had, I think, 2 speakers, not 1 speaker. And we are so fortunate that he enumerated what is the difference and what is between the 2002 Schedule M and what is the 2024 Schedule M, and what has been added newly and what has been the old one which has been enhanced, whether we are talking about technology, whether it's the automation of the machines. And he talked about how do we carry out the gap analysis, and what's he also talked about there should not be any difference in quality between the domestic product and export product. I think that's a great message. I think we have been talking about from across the world for many years now. There cannot be, as one medicine, if you talk about a paracetamol tablet, there cannot be a 2 quality for a domestic market and for the export market. I think this is a great message I think he had given, and we all should be looking forward to that. Then we had a great session from our speaker, Sanjit Singh Lambaji, a great visionary, and he has been working for almost close to 4 decades in this industry. He talked about why we require a GMP, what is the background of revision of old Schedule M into a new Schedule M. He gave an overview and what are the major changes are happening, new provisions and old provisions. The emphasis was again on the trained manpower. I think this is where the key of the success lies on. How the training of the manpower will be more important. I think Rangaji talked about the what are the shortages of machineries which are currently the India is facing. More than the shortage of the machinery, I think the shortage of the manpower is going to be key thing. I think this is where the government initiative of training, especially through the 𝐿SSDC, is going to be very crucial in the coming days. Not only 𝐿SSDC, the Pharmacy Council of India, all the academic institutions, associations like us has a huge responsibility of training our manpower through a common platform to help the MSMEs. I think this is more important. Then process and equipment validations, analytical method validation, for how important it is. That he beautifully covered all in brief. It was kind of a master class where he covered all the provisions of GMP. This was followed by again a beautiful, I think, thank our sponsor 𝐿𝑖𝐻𝑉 India Limited, showed such a beautiful factory have than what the facilities are having. I think one of the more important takeaway was that apart from the beautiful facility what we have, we also should have the systems and procedures in place. I think this is going to be the key to the success of implementation. We don't require fancy factories, although it is definitely required. But then that is not the only thing. We require the trained manpower, the mindset, data integrity. I think these are the systems and processes are more important. That should be the way of life. We had a great panel discussion, Q&A answers. I think the important takeaway of those panel discussion was how we should not create undue risk to the patients. I think a very important takeaway of that. Patient is heart of patient-centric approach is what we will be definitely required. And especially when you're looking at geriatric patient, pediatric patient, the risk involved, if our medicines are used for curing a disease and to help the disease, but our medicine should not create a risk for it. I think that is what important. Basics has to be right, as you said, and not necessarily the fancy facilities. Systems and procedures are important. I think this was some of the important takeaways of today's webinar. Thank you all. Thank you especially Dr. Chandrasekhar-ji for being with us for last more than 3 hours. I think patiently is with, I think 3 cheers to him. He has always been a great support of Indian pharmaceutical industry and a great pharmacist, great our colleague, professional colleague. And thank you very much. I think whatever we say is going to be very less. Thank you, Dr. Sanjit Singh Lambaji, for a great presentation and great learning. Panelists, Dr. Rajesh Gupta ji, Vinod Kalani ji, and been great thing and great audience. I think even with almost for the last few minutes remaining, 250 people are still remaining. That's again, it's a huge achievement. And last but not the least, this whole session would not have been possible without the presence of, the sponsor, our 𝗥𝐻𝑉 India Limited. I think our endeavor will be to, for every sponsor who is going to, I think future, they're going to sponsor the events. What is the kind of value we can provide? I think that will be the emphasis for all of us. And we will definitely promise we will provide huge value to them in terms of reach, and it also helps the companies. Where do we get all the materials, the quality materials, and all that. All the supporting associations, I think they have been great. I think I was telling Swati, like when I approached all the association, in fact, this idea of supporting associations came from one of the supporting associations itself. And it didn't take me not more than 15 minutes to get all the associations on a common platform. We have CIP, it's a Apex, Confederation of Indian Pharmaceutical Industry, Lagu Udyog Bharati, it's again a national organization where the pharma wing is headed by our Dr. Rajesh Gupta ji. They've been doing some great work. Karnataka Drugs and Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association, my Janam Bhumi, my Bhumi of being in the association, Federation of MP Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Himachal Drug Manufacturers Association, Rajasthan Pharma Manufacturers Association, Tamil Nadu Manufacturers Association, Dehradun Drug Manufacturers Association. Thank you, Trillium, for being a knowledge partner. I'm sure they're going to add so much of value and knowledge to all the participants in future. And our media partner, Express Pharma Pulse. I think they have been great again in supporting this initiative and giving a great coverage on this. So great. Thank you very much. And till we meet again on 28th of July, thank you, Swati, and thank you, Satishji, as well. Not to forget you. I think you have been on the toes for last 15 days to put the whole thing together. And thank you all, everyone. Thanks, everyone. And till we see you again on 28th of July, have a great time. All the best wishes from FOPE. Thank you. Stay connected.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arjun, for the opening remarks.
Yeah, so sorry, Arjun, Aparajita. I think this all been a kind of a great teamwork what we had. Then Sunil Ahuja
ji, you please don't forget to 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗃 ji, who's
I can see 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗃 ji here giving an online review of the program today on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
and he's always very supportive and very motivating, and I think a lot of support we get from him.
We have, I think, the huge number of stalwarts amongst us. We had Dr. Jagshetty, who was the advisor to Ministry of Health. and ex-drugs controller of Karnataka in our audience. Then we have Sanju Dutt, who is one of the directors in Systopic. Then huge number of people. I think many of them I don't even know them.
Right now,
they have been great support from the industry, and thank you, Pharma State Academy, for coming out with such a fantastic program. I think never ever in the industry we had this kind of a program. Thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Biggest thanks to Harishji.
Harishji, biggest thanks
Harishji,
to
biggest
also.
thanks to you.
Harishji also.
For creating this kind of program.
Yeah, thank you, Harish, and happy birthday.
I think I
We
would
all
like.
thank you
I'll be failing in my duty if I don't mention my great friend, my mentor, my everyone. I would say mentor in my association activities, Sunil Attawar. I think the idea came from him more than 6 months back. I think they say there is a great, good time for every great activity. I think the time has come today.
Enjoy your birthday, Mr. Harish.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
And now for the participants,
you.
we expect similar registration, similar response, even bigger response. We will try our best to make the platform as streamlined as possible, all the processes as streamlined as possible. But we need your support. We need the decision makers to sponsor their teams to these programs. So please send them. I don't think we will repeat this in near future. So please join as per the schedule and register your companies for this program. It is a grand training session. We have best of the experts delivering the training on specific topics. Thank you, 𝗥𝐴𝐴 sir. I was also seeing you posting, as Dr. Sanjeev mentioned. So thank you for supporting the initiatives. And we promise that we will not, create any substandard quality training program. We are there with you. We are there with all the organizations to do the training in the most serious way possible. Thank you so much. Please give us the feedback.
Thank you.
The recording will be available for your use, and we will try to send the presentation also. Thank you so much. We will switch off the session now. Thank you, Dr. Ranga.
Thank you.